Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Bringing up the present.
Here today is to discuss those charges, discuss the contents of the bail letter, and then turn it all over to you all for questions. But before I do that, before I discuss the indictment and the developments in the case, I want to thank our law enforcement partners, many of whom are here today. First and foremost, I want to thank the Suffolk County Police Department. My understanding is Commissioner Waring was unavailable today. I spoke with Rob, but he certainly brought a contingent of Suffolk County PD to represent his office. We have Deputy Police Commissioner Kevin Catalina. We have Chief of Detectives Daryl Simmons. We have Deputy Chief Stan Grotsky.
Hey everybody.
We have, and then we have the commanding officer of the Major Crimes Unit, which includes the Homicide Unit, Sean Barron. So we want to thank all of them for their partnership. We want to thank the Homicide Unit for their continued efforts in this case. We have the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office here. Again, spoke with Sheriff Toulon. He's traveling out of state, so he couldn't make it. But it's my understanding that Under Sheriffs Steve Kios and Keith Taylor are here. We certainly want to thank them for their assistance as well. With the New York State Police, we have Major Stephen Udise, as well as Lieutenant Ken Gine. And again,
I wonder if he's going to mention Rodney Harrison at all.
For their presence here today, but more importantly, for their partnership in this case, we have the FBI, Supervising Special Agent Don Ansbacher is here. I want to thank the FBI for their continued assistance in this case. And then I don't believe they're present, but we have we want to thank the United States Secret Service for their assistance in this case. We want to thank the Suffolk County Crime Lab. I know they're not here, but their work has been tireless and instrumental.
Hey, Mike.
And we're very appreciative to them. I especially want to thank the
Hey, everybody.
From the
He's introducing everybody.
Police, the Suffolk County Police, and from the
Are we on? We're on, right?
Came out
Yeah, we're live.
Weeks ago.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
In
Traitor.
Difficult conditions. They really did a fabulous job.
It was last
helping
minute.
us to search an area of interest to us, and they went above and beyond. So again, I want to thank them. I frequently neglect to thank my own team, so I'm going to take the opportunity to thank them. We have, Chief Zacharies. We have, I want to thank them. I want to thank our ADAs, many of whom are working on this case. You heard from Nick Santamartino. We've got Larry Opizzo. We got Andrew Lee. We got Michelle Haddad. We've got a whole host of ADAs that have really been instrumental in us. Our investigators, our analysts, really fantastic work that they've done. I want to thank the victims' families, many of whom are here today, not only on the new charges, but for the original Gilgo 4. And this is what this case is about. We don't ever forget that. This case is about the victims and their families, and hopefully providing them with that small measure of closure. And, the families have been, nothing short of incredible. The way that they continue to support their loved ones and each other is really inspiring to us and really helps us to keep coming in and working this case as aggressively as we've been doing.
I hope he explains the Karen Bagata thing.
Collaboration. And, again, mentioning all of those partners, without the contribution of any one of those partners, our ability to do this case would have been severely compromised. So again, I know I mentioned a lot of names. I know I went through a lot of agencies.
Yes, but I don't think it has anything to do with it.
It's the polite thing to do. I do it because it's the right thing to do, because they've really helped us instrumentally and will continue to help us going forward. Now, I'll just, before I get into the individual murders, the two new charges,
all right, here we go.
I want to talk about is at the time of the initial arraignment of the three out of the four Gilgo 4, and then at the superseding arraignment on the charges pertaining to Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and the Gilgo 4 was completed. At that time, we said that we were going to continue to investigate this case, that the grand jury with regard to the Gilgo 4 is over. but the case continues. The criminal prosecution continues, but the investigation continues, and that investigation has been expanded. The investigation has been expanded both to the bodies that
Hang
were
on a
found
second,
Gilgo
folks.
and beyond.
Just hang on a second, folks. Somebody just alerted me that I'm showing the wrong thing. See, I got a fancy new computer, Mike, and I'm still screwing it up.
That's an old presser. Is it not live yet?
Somebody said it was live.
All right. Is he doing it on YouTube? Because I know he does it on Instagram.
I'm on YouTube.
But
I'm on his YouTube page now.
Yeah, but is he going to do it on YouTube or Instagram? He's very tech savvy. This guy.
No, he said people are laughing at us, Mike, or laughing at me anyway.
Becky B says, stand by.
Yeah, stand by. Hey, listen, folks, this is what happens when you get 60-year-olds on tech. And I was in a rush because the wife screwed me up this morning. So, needless to say, it's not on YouTube.
It's not. Yeah, it's going to be on Instagram. Yeah, that's what I thought. I could check. I could check to see if it's on Instagram. Probably not. Let's see.
Let me stop you. Anyway, Mike, it's been interesting so far. He hasn't told us about why Karen Vagata was included in this. I'm assuming it's because he was in a grand jury and that they weren't able to do it. All right, so I'm on Instagram now. Let me look for Ray Tierney.
Yeah, I don't think it's on yet. I didn't see it.
I got people telling me it's on.
Really? Jesus. It's on? Is he? I don't know. It says live, like it's going to come on. But
and it says YouTube too.
Really?
Yeah, folks. Somebody see if there's a Court TV might have it. Okay, let's head over to Court TV. Everybody's like, what a bunch of amateurs we're watching over here.
That's okay. It's live. This is what happens. That's why our followers love us, because it's real. It's not scripted. And you never know what I might say.
Ain't that the truth?
I saw the chief on CBS talking about the case, Rodney Harrison. You know, I
spoke to Rodney earlier.
Yeah, I feel like he should be in the press. I mean, he was the spearhead for this case. He should be part of that presser. All right.
It isn't on Court TV either.
I'm going to talk to my comments, to my chat. Live makes it. Yeah, Sheila. Live is definitely more fun. Yeah.
Can anybody, if anybody could find it in the, I can't find it anyway. It's not on Court TV. You know what? Let me try Newsday.
Is it on? Because he has it on his Instagram. It's not on. Are people sure it's on?
You know what? Let me try Long Island. Let me try News 12 Long Island.
I'm hungry. Talk about this cheesesteak thing. I'm so hungry right now. Live from New York. It's Saturday night. Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Flynn.
Folks, I'm not seeing it live.
Yeah, I don't think it's on yet.
Not till 1:30, a notification for it. Okay, you guys got me going crazy. I feel like this is
all right.
Complete and utter failure.
Let's recap it. You should put on some of the like the attorney, Mike Brown. You should put him on. Let's talk about what he said. He said a lot.
Okay, do you remember where it was?
It was on YouTube.
Let's see.
It's YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, he showed clips of, Heuermann pleading guilty. He had a little bit of a smirk on. This guy's a predator. This guy, I don't think he has any emotions. I think he's kind of relieved that he doesn't have to go through the trial, because he just, he's over it. He's done, right? Everything is going to go right to guilty. He says, don't waste my time. This is him. He's a narcissist, so.
Well, you know what, though? What I find interesting, and I don't know if you caught this, Mike, but part of this whole plea deal, or not plea deal, let me back off. I don't like I said plea deal, about him taking a guilty plea. he said that he's going to have to talk to the FBI behavioral analysis unit. I thought that was interesting. I never expected that to come into play because that's huge.
Yeah, it's like that TV show on Netflix. I forget. I'm sure the people know what it is. You know, it's invaluable, right? The FBI behavioral analysis, they want to interview this guy. They want to learn from him, right? To predict, to prevent future serial killers. This guy's going to be like Hannibal Lecter. He got away with it for 10 years. How did you do that? You know, so they absolutely want to learn. I want to be in the box with him when they're talking to him. I want to listen to, you know, what he's saying, how he did it, how he got away with it, what tools, how was he so successful, you know?
Well, I also imagine that this is about finding out how many other cases or potential cases there are too, right? So they're going to try to get into the nitty gritty. Folks, there's no stretch of the imagination that this case is over. There's no way this case is over.
Yeah, he had property where in the Carolinas, he had property in Nevada, right?
Yeah, Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
I think in Springfield, Missouri too.
Jeez.
That was one of his aliases that he was using, Springfield. Oh, wow. Thank you, Stinky Cat. Thanks, Joe and Mike, two of the smartest cops on YouTube. Great coverage. Thank you very much, Stinky. I appreciate that. Poor Stinky Cat. Got a bad rep over there. I appreciate that.
I want to see this cat.
How about this cold case task force now? I mean, it frees up the cold case task force immensely by not having to go to trial, because if you think how long this trial was going to be, I mean, I know Tierney had said a month, but you know what, though? I think he had already planned that there was a plea was already going to be happening, right? So that's why I think he said a month, but this thing would have been in reality 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And can you imagine now all the time and effort that those investigators would have to be putting into the court, and now they don't have to do that? I mean, not only is this going to save a ton of money, but this is going to save all those investigators' hours where they can use that time and money to do some of these other cases. Yeah,
absolutely. Instead of prepping for for testimony and trial, now they can work on other cases. And maybe some of the cases they have that they think Rex is the killer. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed going to trial. I did, but this is a big trial, and I'm sure it's very stressful for investigators.
Yeah, I mean, I never had to testify in something like this, but we had a case that was similar in nature in regards to the amount of victims. But even that trial was relatively short. But I can't imagine the amount of investigative hours that they would have had to put in and be able to do that. Mike, you take over for what?
Okay, guys, it's now the Mike Show. Joe is grabbing me a hoagie with Philly cheesesteak. But yeah, I was watching the recap. I was watching Mike Brown, his defense attorney, talking about, he said something crazy. I thought it was nuts. He said that Rex wanted to save the victim's family, going through this trial, and he's concerned about, his own family. I don't believe that, folks. This guy is 100% a psychopath. He doesn't care about his victims. I don't believe he cares about his family. I don't believe he cares about the victim's family. This is about him not going through this because, I mean, the verdict was going to be inevitable. They tried and tried and tried to challenge the DNA evidence, like Joe talked about before, the cell phone information. They tried to challenge having the trial for each victim. They lost that. So I think it was just a lose-lose situation. And because Rex Heuermann thinks his time is more valuable than ours, he just said he's just going to plead guilty. And if you saw him pleading guilty, it was so annoying. He was so smug. He just, he even had like a smirk on his face. I mean, he didn't allocute, which I was hoping for, but he didn't. But that's not saying he might, do an allocution from now until sentencing. I think sentencing is going to be around June. So he may speak up. He may want to. Again, he is a psychopath. The only reason he may not say anything about other cases is because this is only to this case right now. What he pled guilty is he won't be prosecuted anymore regarding these 8 victims. There's going to be other investigations, and he's not scot-free from that. Like if he gets convicted, if he gets convicted in another state where they have a death penalty, he could get death penalty. And I think if the feds get involved, they don't have to abide by what happened here. They can charge him separately and try him separately. So that's another case. This is not easy talking this much as Joe does. But I'm going to look at the chat because I love the chat. You know, I love to troll this chat, STS chat, everybody's chat. Let's see. Asa speaking at the press conference. Yeah. Listen, if you've been following the show and if you've seen me on Court TV, I do not believe Asa is 100% like in the dark about this case. I mean, the other day I moved a bug from my cupboard to another part of the cupboard, and my girlfriend knew about it. She was questioning about that. How do you not know that there's a kill room downstairs? There's 300 guns. You don't know when your husband's doing something. I'm not convinced of that. I am not. So I think it's self-serving for her to do. Why is she in the presser? I don't know if anybody's Asa defender, but I just didn't like that she was at the presser. We're just talking about Asa doing the press conference.
Maybe not.
Yeah, you're in. You're in.
I found the presser, Mike.
Okay, cool. Live? Standing by. The smirk was bad, 100%.
No,
almost as bad as his haircut. That's right, Lulu.
Advised him, but that
this is the Mike Brown presser. Yes,
the defendant. He controls his case, and that's his prerogative. That's his right, and that's what happened here today. When Rex decided that he wanted to accept responsibility and didn't want to proceed to trial, from a defense standpoint.
All right, I kicked him out. You know, I like putting a bug in everyone's computer especially when Joe's interviewing anyone but me. I just boot him. I'm just kidding. I don't know what happened to Joe. He'll come back, but it's okay. It's live. It's like someone says, SNL. We're just winging it. We're going to wing it. Really, what this whole show was about today was when Tierney does finally do his presser. We're very interested in what he's going to say, what might have been revealed that we only saw snippets from the courtroom. What's going to happen from now until sentencing? How will this affect future cases, which they can still prosecute? Rex Heuermann, from what we understand, it's only going to be limited to these 8 victims, right? They can no longer prosecute this pleading guilty is only for these 8 cases. And then moving forward, anything they uncover. So here's the thing. Now that he pled guilty, his DNA is going to go up to CODIS, right? And once it's up in CODIS, that's huge because now open cases, cold cases, where they have CODIS DNA. Okay, here comes Joe. You back?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can. We can hear you. It's okay.
Can you guys see it?
Assistant District Attorney.
We can see it.
So I know, I'm sure that the families of the victims are very grateful to the District Attorney and the people of this county.
Nationwide.
So he's admitting that
this was an unprecedented case. And I can tell you that I am very fortunate to have had a legal team that helped me on this over the course of the last 2.5 years. I don't know where Mr. Capone is, and Mr. Fuchs. They are excellent writers, and we battled this from day one, and we were prepared from day one to try this case. Chase Brown has been an excellent help in terms of everything we've been doing. He is a rising star in this county. My co-pilot, Danielle Koish, she really, really put together that Fry hearing. That was such a monumental hearing here in New York State. And she's organized and came up with such crafty arguments during the course of this case. So I'm really grateful for their help. We really were, in my
opinion, a lot of attaboys here. A lot of patting yourself in the back for something that didn't never happen.
In the course of this prosecution.
And I like Mike Brown.
I do too.
One of the things that I was very mindful of and made a deliberate point is we attacked the evidence. We never attacked these young ladies, these victims.
Yeah,
that was never our objective. We never said a bad word about them, and they ran into some tough times. They were all beautiful young ladies. Their mothers, their daughters, their sisters, I can go on and on. But it was never about attacking them. It was always about attacking the evidence. So
and they lost every step of the way.
Yeah.
I think that this today gave hopefully some peace and some closure to the family members. This case is over from our standpoint. You heard the prosecutor indicate there will be no further prosecutions in exchange for his plea of guilty, as well as his cooperation with the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the Behavioral Analysis Unit.
On these 8
I
cases.
respect the press and their role in the criminal justice system, so I'm happy to take some questions to the best that I can at this point.
Was there a specific change and when? That's what we're trying to.
Yeah, well, I can't give you our conversations that are confidential, but I will say to you that there came a point in this defense where Rex said, "I want to plead guilty," and it was at that point when we really had an objective of protecting his interests.
Sure, but can you give us some?
I can't. No, because that's all confidential. I'm not going to get into the time frame.
Is he cooperating with the FBI?
I'm sorry.
Has he spoken to Asa?
Has he spoken to Asa? I don't know. You'd have to ask Asa.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about the parameters of the FBI cooperation? Because we couldn't really hear you on the mic when you mentioned that in court. And what does that mean for a potential federal prosecution of Rex, if at all?
Yeah, I'm not at liberty to discuss any of that.
Yeah.
All I can say is he has an obligation to cooperate fully.
No,
and
JM, no
completely with the
perk.
Federal Bureau of
You never got
Investigations
that far.
Behavioral Analysis Unit. I can't get into anything further.
That's huge.
Yes, sir.
This week comes sometime after the judge ruled on DNA. Was that part of the calculation that there was just another obstacle in the way to try to prove his innocence versus pleading guilty?
Well, we don't have to prove innocence, obviously. It's about, but I understand your question.
Dude,
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are a couple of things that were major decisions in this case from a strategic standpoint for the defense, in terms of likelihood of success at trial, so to speak. The judge's ruling on the Fry hearing was monumental. Yes, that's a big deal because if you remember, you have mitochondrial DNA and the statistical likelihood is not that great. I feel like I'm a broken record, but that was 2.5 years ago. We talked about that. But once that nuclear DNA comes into play, those statistics, as portrayed by this expert, the Astrea lab, they're off the charts. So that's a major part of how successful you're going to be at trial. Another major part is our motion to sever, which Ms. Koish wrote a great motion on that because we didn't think, we suggested that the cumulative effect would have been so overwhelming, and the court disagreed with us, and the court permitted all of the counts in the indictment to remain together. That's a big win for the prosecution.
Mr. Brown, you yourself told us many times that you believed he was not the guy. When did your thoughts on that change?
Well, my thoughts aren't important. At some point, he admitted responsibility to us and indicated that he wanted to proceed to trial. So I don't sit there and judge a case. Our objective and our job is to be zealous advocates for the client, right?
Can you
That's
pause?
what we do. We do it on every single case. A good lawyer
Can
is
you
going
pause?
to advocate for their client.
Can I pause
That's
this?
what
Yeah.
we've been doing from day
I thought
one.
that was interesting. what he said.
My belief.
Go ahead.
You already said. He said that he admitted responsibility,
Yeah.
right?
It was
So
him
he's
directly.
saying, I killed these women, and then his job is still to challenge the evidence. That's kind of crazy. Kind of unethical, I think. What do you think?
Well, this is sometimes why defense attorneys get a bad rep, right? I mean, you know your client's guilty, and you're going to have to go through. That would have been my follow-up question. So you knew your client was guilty, but
Yeah.
you still went through this whole charade.
Yeah.
And you wasted all taxpayers' dollars,
Well-
right? If that's the case, boy, if that's the truth, there, that would be pissing me off.
That was a great question, and I'm sure he's going to regret what he just said over there. That was. Well, I heard that. I was like, "What? He told you he killed him, and you still want to represent him and challenge whatever evidence and go to trial? That's just unethical." Okay, that's all I want to say about that.
No, that's okay. But he also said something else that was interesting, that there's going to be no more cases on this.
No more cases on these 8, right? That's it.
I'm assuming that's what he meant.
No, yeah, no more prosecution only on these that he pled guilty. It's not excluding anything else they uncover later. And then I heard that the feds don't have to abide by this. They can
No,
do
they
their
don't.
own investigation.
Yes, they do. I'm glad you brought that up. But no, the feds do not have to. They don't really care. They don't care, man. And they're always lurking.
Beliefs, and it's insignificant.
Good point.
Yes, sir.
The
hearing is often, these kinds of hearings are so clinical. Can you give us an understanding?
That's right,
of
Afton.
his
Only on
mindset
these 8.
Coming in,
Afton doing.
whether he, without betraying confidences, may have said
Hey,
something
Lulu.
that indicated a particular way he was thinking or feeling about this?
You're talking about this morning?
Yeah.
Well, this is not something that nothing has been done from the hip. We don't shoot from the hip on this case. This case, every single decision we've made has been calculated and thought out, and we've thrown it around hundreds of times. And the reason I say that is, we've been speaking to him and preparing him for today. And that's been ongoing for weeks.
Is he sorry?
I would hope so. I mean, I expect
that's a no.
He'll have something to say. I'll leave it at that.
Was it a sense of relief, you think, for him to admit this today?
I do. I think that was a huge sense of relief for him. I can't, I'm not in his position, obviously, and I never will be. But when you have that type of
That's good news.
in your head and on your body, and just, I think by admitting it, I think it's cathartic to some extent.
So for those of you that are just joining us, waiting for the president to go live, we're watching Michael Brown after the event.
No.
Just picking that apart.
What does the fact of the DNA evidence
Closing in on 500 live viewers. Welcome, everybody.
in this state?
You know, I'm going to let Ms. Cush answer that, because she really is now an expert on this area.
Yeah, so what we have in this Fry decision is a Supreme
Danielle,
Court
just stand a little
decision.
closer.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's a Supreme Court decision. Another Supreme Court justice could hear the same issues and either agree with Judge Mazie or disagree with Judge Mazie. It's not a controlling decision yet. Okay, so I assume we're going to hear more. I think that this type of technology, now that the door was open, is going to be used more, and similar legal challenges are going to be raised. And it's up and until we get to the higher courts, what we call the appellate division over in Brooklyn, or even our Court of Appeals,
So this is what
does
they were
that
going to do.
decision
Wait
become
and then
binding.
appeal it.
So Judge Mazie's decision certainly opened the door. We're going to see it, and I'm sure we're going to hear.
Yo, can you
other
pause?
Supreme Court justice.
Yes.
I'm a little lost. What is she talking about? Open the door to
the
what?
Fry hearing, when they were fighting the DNA, right? The mitochondrial DNA and the new technology that was used to be able to pull this lab out in California. Remember that whole thing with the guys, the scientist, his name was Nathan Adams, and he was, doing all, and that was the whole big fight, because that was the case right there. If they could have gotten that thrown out, because New York, I think, only became the third case using this new technology that is used to arrest somebody and charge them with a crime. California, and I believe Illinois might have been the second one. Maybe somebody could just fact check that. But the issue that comes down to is, this was the plan all along. They knew they were going to lose. That's what it sounds like. They knew they were going to lose, and they were ready to appeal this, because you heard right now say, there's another justice might feel differently about it, right? So they were going to look to try to see if they could get this in the hands of the right judge, so that they would have this appeal thrown out, the conviction thrown out, then the appeal with the new DNA, and then you start all over again. And that was the plan, apparently. I think the mask is slipping a little bit there.
Yeah.
California and Idaho.
With him pleading guilty, the agreement is no appeals. That's it, right?
Yeah, well, that was part of the deal today. He said there's no appeals. This is it.
Yeah.
Tag, you're it.
Good.
And thanks, Julia. So Julia says California and Idaho. I was close. I said Illinois. At least it started with an I. Hello there, Scratch and Paint. So yes, if you're just joining us, we're waiting for the thing to go live. I had gotten some misinformation that it was live already. I ended up playing the wrong presser because I was in a rush. But I think we recovered, and then everybody notices, like, Joe's getting fancy here. I'm sharing screens. Yes, folks, I bought myself a MacBook. I'm going to try to learn all this new technology. Closing in on 60 years old. I think I'm doing okay.
What were you using before? Did you have
I was using an iPad only.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
iPad for me is easy because it's just, fingers everything. I'm still trying to hit the screen, though, believe it or not, folks, on the MacBook. But I'm going to play this a little bit more, and then, Mike, I'm going to check on the other stream. See if
in
it's
New
up
York
yet.
think about the case, but as of right now, it's just a door opening decision.
Mr. Brown, can you just clarify if there was an agreement? He's pleaded guilty to 7 counts. He also acknowledged an 8.
That sounds like Mary Murphy.
But then there's something about no future prosecutions.
Is she independent?
Other victims found in Suffolk that there would not be prosecutions?
No, there will be no further prosecutions on these 8 victims.
And how did the 8th one come about? Like, how did that end up being part of it?
When he decided he wanted to plead guilty, We had that covered as part of his plea, and there'll be no further prosecutions as long as he cooperates with the Federal Bureau of Investigation's
No further
behavioral
prosecutions, he's saying,
So
Mike.
is
He's not
Rex
saying about those
maintaining
eight.
that
No
he has
further
no other victims out
prosecutions.
there?
No, yeah, he said that, but it's only about the 8. It's only
Okay.
about the 8.
Yes.
When did Karen Bragada enter the conversation with you?
That's Laura Engel.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I don't have the timeline. I can't tell you. Obviously, she came into play. Her as a victim came into play at some point. I can't tell you exactly when.
Weeks, months?
I don't know.
How much was the?
Mr. Brown, could you tell us if his family might
Oh,
have
thank you.
helped him make this decision?
With you a mountain home.
I
can't
think
see
that
anymore
they
either.
speak, and I think that there was. I
Thank you
can
very
tell
much.
you that
A view from
I'll
our
say
home.
this,
A view from our home.
certainly,
Hang on. I'll
several of
pause it.
his concerns. He had many about.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, it was a view from our home. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So please, if somebody can just watch, I'm
Why you
going
don't
back
wanna
and
go to trial
forth. So if
and
you see
plead
me
guilty.
looking other places,
He
I'm not
certainly
because
wanted
I'm not
to
paying attention. I'm
save
trying
the
to make sure
families
we
of the
don't miss the
victims they were
beginning
dealing
of the
with going
presser.
to trial, and coupled with.
Yeah, I got
saving
Instagram
his
on. I'm just
family
waiting
that
to see
ordeal.
if
So
he's going to jump
I know
on.
that there was
According to-
conversations during the
According
course of
to
this
the
defense
Instagram, let me pause this.
between his.
Because the according to the Instagram, it says YouTube Live. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, I want to say, Joe, I don't know if you can hear it. It's really difficult to hear you when the video is playing, and I'm
Yes.
sure everyone else too. So, I think we should just pause and then talk and then continue. I think that's probably the best way.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, though.
Yeah, perfect. Now, when the video is not playing, great.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, we're going to hold off on that for a second. E. Caroline, welcome. Thank you. New member.
Nice.
Yep. Actually, I think Mike, I think I hit a record the other day. I think we have 120 members now to the channel. So I want to thank everybody. And listen, I want to thank the mods specifically. I know Sarah's done a great job, and Becky B and Sinead. I don't know if Sinead is in the room. Sheila. So we won't mention Nightbot at all because everyone hates Nightbot.
Pokemon.
Pokemon. So yes, I want to thank all of the. Thank all of the mods that have helped make this channel. We're closing in on 25,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, it's free. Thank you very much. And that would be great. Anything to help grow this channel. We're doing pretty good here. And Friday morning, roll call at 8 a.m. We got Josh Schiffer. And then next week, Mike will be back on. So you want to watch the end of this presser?
Yeah.
All right, let's watch the end of it.
Family members and himself in regards to that, yes.
Did he not want his family members, his wife, and his daughter to know the details of the murders that he committed?
I would assume that. I'm sure, again, there was conversations about having them avoid the ordeal of a trial. It was definitely a factor. Yes.
How much of a factor was the federal charges?
Okay, we've been listening to Rex Heuermann's attorney, Michael Brown.
Okay, we're gonna end that.
A lot of
No, don't end it because they're going to have Rex coming up.
questions can't be answered due to client attorney privilege, but doing the best he
Rex
can
gonna
to answer
plead
some of the
guilty, they're
questions
gonna
that he
show
had to
it.
field.
Is that it? Dang.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, because next clip was supposed to be Rex pleading guilty, and you could see his stupid smirk and.
Yeah, what a bum. All right, so I'm gonna show the Tierney screen.
And Joe, he also, I don't know if you caught it, he also admitted to strangling every victim.
Yes, well, that was something I definitely wanted to talk about. So the cause of death, manual strangulation. I mean, we kind of figured as much, but there was no evidence of what the cause of death was. So at least they have an answer for that respect. And I'm glad they didn't have to go into the gory details per se. I was actually surprised they even went that far. But if you recall, Mike, I kind of said that this was going to be one of those A, yes, B, yeah. Did you do A? Yes, B, yes. So it was just a little more than that. And, I know a lot of people wanted to hear more and this and that, but I think why put the families through that when you have this guy who's already willing to do it? But Michael Brown has basically said there, and D I think I missed this one. How did I miss this one? D just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, D. I really appreciate that. I kind of understand why people are frustrated a little bit, that they want to, hear all this stuff, but it's better off for everybody, folks. Trust me, the families. It sets law enforcement back a bit, though, because you would you would be, you could maybe close more cases on this.
Well, he's going to work with the behavioral analysis, right? I don't think he's going to give up outside of this if he has any other victims. I don't think he's going to do that. But, he will talk about these 8 victims, I would imagine. And again, how he did it, why he did it, where he met them, his kill room. Did it happen in his house?
Well, they mentioned Nassau County, right? So he said Nassau County a bunch of times. So I'm assuming that's what they were meaning, his house. And I was actually talking to Josh on the phone, and I'm asking him, I'm like, see if you can ask a question when you get outside. Is this, when they say Nassau County, are they talking about his home in Massapequa? It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So someone had here said CBS New York Channel 2. I'm on their, I am on their YouTube channel as we speak as well, but nothing on their live just yet.
I just on the side note, you said this was what'd you say it was manual strangulation, right? When I was in the squad, we had a detective, and he wasn't the sharpest guy, and he was talking about like an accidental death. He was talking about, he wanted to say erotic asphyxiation, but instead he said erotic strangulation. I said, no, you got that wrong, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's definitely an R-rated topic. Tree, thanks for becoming a member. Really appreciate that. Better late than never. Yeah, sure. Better late than never, Missy.
Yeah, he entered a plea. He pleaded guilty, Miss Kitty.
Yes, he pled guilty to 8 homicides, but they're only charging him with 7. Is right. That's basically what it is. The 8th one, the Karen Vagato one, they're actually not doing anything with it. And the reason why, because people that this is a good time as we're waiting. Why they are not doing that, because if you look at the New York State penal law for murder in the first degree, you have to kill 3 or more people within 24 months, and that's why the Gilgo 4 cases went first. And that's the reason for that. And you get 3 life consecutive sentences right then and there. He's not going to ever recover from that. So at this point, it's kind of futile to welcome Marley. Is that Marley? Marie. And welcome Marie. I can't see.
Yeah, so he was not charged for the 8th one, but he pled guilty to her murder.
Yes. Thank you very much, Angela, for that super. Coming to see you live in Pennsylvania this weekend. Yes, if you live in the Philadelphia area, I am going to be at a fundraiser for underprivileged kids that is going to be held in Horsham. It's a forensic science academy, and it's going to be myself. I was invited by Mother Knows Death, the Nicole and Maria, the team that has this huge podcast. They got like millions of followers on Instagram.
Wow.
They are the nicest ladies in the world. And they put together this fundraiser, and the fundraiser is going to help the kids go to basically forensics camp. So
cool.
I have to come speak for it and spend some time with them. And
What day is that?
It's this Saturday.
What time?
It's from 9 to 5. It's going to be held in Horsham.
That's not far from me. I might just walk in backwards and harass
let me know if you're going to shoot out. Whatever, I'll leave some.
Yeah, Friday, me and the woman are going to go see Jerry Seinfeld. I've never seen him. And then Saturday, I'm going to a knife show in Lehigh Valley, right by you. And then, if it's still going on, if you're still there, let me know.
I'll send you a text.
Yeah.
True Crime Addicted, thank you very much for the super. Says, just getting here. Any idea why he would plead guilty to the 8th murder when he wasn't charged with it? Great question, True Crime Addicted. I think the only answer to that question is it was already included in one of the secret grand jury hearings, and that they were basically, remember, the judge said to Tierney, like, you got 7 murders, you better get on with the show here and enough. And that happened before the to come hell or high water kind of comment. So Judge Mazie wasn't playing any games with this, and I think that's what drove that. Initially, they would have. So I am still refreshing the pages as we speak to make sure that we're not missing anything. Just please, guys, take a look on, especially on YouTube or anything like that. I'm going to see if News 12 Long Island has anything. It's amazing that they try to they're so difficult to find something.
Yeah, nothing yet on his Instagram.
And there's nothing on the live too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean 2 p.m. That's when he's supposed to do it. So
I'm glad I drove like a lunatic to get home.
I'm glad you didn't get into an accident.
Yeah, thanks God, right? But yes, folks, just remember that this case, we wouldn't have gotten here today. Suffolk County would have never gotten here today unless it wasn't for, former Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and the District Attorney Ray Tierney putting together this Gilgo task force to be able to get to the point where they do it. And they did so in like kind of short order when you think about it.
Yeah, once they got the ball rolling, it was like a snowball effect almost.
Danny says, I hope we find out who Asian Doe is. Everyone deserves to have their identity given back. I agree. And we do know that Othram is working on it. But, we know that there's a problem with the databases per se of people who are not who aren't Caucasian. We know that there are a lot of Caucasian DNA samples in there and not so much for the rest of the ethnicities and races. So, and Missy's coming in. Missy, welcome.
Missy.
Can you hear us?
Missy Mayhem.
All right. I don't know if she got her.
Hey,
Missy. Can you hear us?
I think our mic's off.
We can't hear you, Missy. If anybody doesn't know who Missy is.
Was it ready?
There we go. Missy helps us out from time to time in the background. Missy, I'm looking for a live feed if it hasn't come out yet, if you haven't seen it.
I know. It's not up there yet. I've been watching it for it too. So I do have, though, the Rex Heuermann that Michael was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when he pleads guilty.
You want to share it?
Let me see. Yeah, hold on. Let me put it up here.
It's going to make you guys angry. It's going to make you guys angry how smug he looks.
Yeah, he really does. Okay, here.
And we are now hearing from Rex Heuermann himself this morning. Moments ago, we heard from Heuermann speaking to the judge before pleading guilty. Let's listen.
Can you put that a little louder, Miss?
Your attorney?
Yes, I have.
Have you had enough time to discuss this case with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
After discussions with your lawyer, you feel it's in your best interest to plead guilty rather than go to trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the manner in which your attorneys represented you in this case?
Yes, I am.
I must say that the attorneys on both sides of this case have been excellent, unbelievable lawyers. Do you understand that by pleading guilty to a charge, that is the same as if you had gone to trial and been found guilty of that charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that by pleading guilty, you're waiving a number of very important rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
As you're hearing from Rex Heuermann there for the first time, pleading guilty to 7 counts of murder, sentencing now set for June 17th.
I didn't expect his voice to be like that.
Good afternoon. I'm Gilda Avalos.
Well, yeah, he's going to have some problems in for sure about going to prison. And I think that's why sometimes he did that.
Now, so could that be part of the plea deal where he goes to prison?
Well, remember, it's not a plea deal. Right?
I mean, I'm sorry, pleading guilty.
Well, unless he gives up some more information on what's going on, I can't imagine, and Asa has already said she's moving out. She's moving out of South Carolina. So it doesn't matter if he gets put in Westchester County or he gets put in Plattsburgh, right? I mean, who cares?
Yeah, I saw that with Laura's interview that they're about to sell the house. They're just waiting for this, and then they're going to move.
Yep. Jadzia, thank you. Yeah, 6 months, time flies. Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, I'm refreshing the page again. Ray Tierney is late.
They were late starting court too, but it's probably everyone is making a mass exodus from the courthouse.
Yeah.
They're all heading.
Well, where the head to Brentwood is, it could be. I mean, you get stuck on that Sunken Meadow or whatever it is. I mean, the Sagittos, you could be to get to the southern state, could take you a while.
Yeah.
Actually, yep, new Amity house. It actually already is, but I think Asa's going to sell it, move out to South Carolina, and then that house is going to get knocked down and built over. So if you haven't seen it, you better go out and see it because they're going to knock that thing down. There's no way you could live in that house. I've been to the house once. I took some photos and a video going back like 2 years ago when I was on my way to the Hamptons whodunit. and I
We
brought.
should take a road trip. We should go there. You and me go. Ask Asa if we can go in and just check out the house. She might.
Oh, I'm sure she's. I'm sure that no one's ever asked to try before. Hey, listen, I'll try anything once.
Listen, not the right guys, Joe. Not the right guys.
Hey, listen, you let me know. We'll take the trip.
Also, Joe, I know that Becky sent you. She was telling you in chat that she had sent you the DA's press release. I also have that. Do you want to look at it while we're waiting?
Yeah, sure. Let's look at it. Yeah, thanks, Becky. I'm just, not that good at this yet. I'm still learning how to use this computer. I'm excited that I was able to share the screen. We're getting there, Missy.
You're doing great. Honestly.
So encouraging.
Well, it's all tricky stuff.
Maria, Sarge, if I come to Long Island, can we meet for coffee?
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a coffee and crime out there.
100%. I would love to. I would love to hang with everybody. I loved the last one. It was so cool.
Yeah. Mike and I did one last year at a Starbucks up in Pennsylvania. It was actually a lot of fun.
See,
all right. Yeah, I am definitely not going to be able to see that.
Yeah, let me.
I agree with Pokemon. He's got that Friar Tuck haircut, and look like they're feeding him well in Suffolk County over there.
Yeah. Anybody see anything going on with any lives? I'm on CBS New York. I'm on.
Sinead, you're just on time. Nothing happened yet.
CBS New York has been having the best coverage so far.
All right. Well, I'm watching them, see what's going on. You know what? I'm going to see if Newsday, which is the local paper, if they're doing anything streaming.
Okay, maybe this is better. So this is, oops, sorry. So this is his press release that he put out earlier today. Let's see if I can full screen it. See, I'm not great at this either.
There you go. Get bigger there.
Okay.
Bowl cut for Rexy Poo. Bye, Felicia. Yeah, the good name too. Bye, Felicia. Yep. Even without butter, Mike. Stacy. Sinead, you're always on time. Yeah, folks. I guess they hit traffic going from Riverhead to Brentwood. And if anybody's actually ever lived on Long Island, you know that traffic could be an absolute nightmare. 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Probably had to have lunch first. Listen.
That's what I would have done. I'd have been like, we're done early. We're going to get coffee.
Yeah,
and donuts.
a little debriefing about what was heard, what was, he's going to have a conversation. Then he's going to do, I'm sure somebody's writing his presser. So someone's fashioning that right now.
Well, you also, too, you got to remember, you got to get all the family members there, too. It's not like they had a bus where take everybody at once. You got to wait for all these people to show up.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had a bus to transport all the victims.
Well, that would be smart if they had a bus, right? But, we don't know exactly how this went down, right? But, I mean, you would imagine that it was a bus. This way you keep everybody together in regards to doing that.
I'm surprised that they had the great movement from one place to the other. To caravan like that, so many people, it just screams like asking for problems.
Mike, just check on the Instagram page. I'm still refreshing.
Yeah, I don't see anything, but you're right. I think it's not going to be on Instagram. It looks like it's just going to be
YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah. Yeah, live on Ray Tierney's YouTube at 2 p.m.
Bye, Felicia. I grew up in Bayshore, 1993.
So yeah, the press release that he put out is like 4 pages worth of stuff. I haven't gone through it all yet, but
okay. We'll take a look at that later on.
I definitely sent it to you so you can review it later.
Okay, thank you.
Flynn Brown said he's like a low rent Beatles wannabe. He's like a Timu Beatles.
So you guys are watching the Ray Tierney page with me now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm also keeping an eye out for CBS New York.
Yeah, I got CBS New York on here too. I'm just refreshing it as we go along. See, stuff like this drives me crazy because I'm always like 20 minutes early for wherever I got to be. So when somebody's either on time or late, I get nuts. Sinead, Rex Heuermann, the world hates you forevermore. Yes.
He's easy to hate, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And, I mean, did they really get into the Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor thing other than just, I think they referred to them as the Manorville cases? Did they mention? Did anybody?
I didn't see that part.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really get into that.
I want to get cool headphones like Missy.
Oh, thanks.
Well, the next step for me is now that I got a MacBook to do this with you guys, so we can share screens and stuff. The next thing is I'm going to get myself a microphone and earphones. I guess. Can you do it without earphones? If you just use the microphone?
Yeah, you don't have to. I just I feel like there's if I have the speaker going, I feel like it gets feedback, or I don't know if I can hear it echoing.
We'll have to try it out with a roll call with Mike. This way, when I screw it up, it's no big deal.
So what did y'all think of Asa's presser? Aw.
I thought it was a little self-serving. I am not a big fan of Asa, as you guys know. I'm not completely convinced that she's, innocent of not doing the crime, but of not knowing about it. I was telling everybody, well, you guys were off that, the other day I moved the mug from one part of the cupboard to the other, and my girlfriend noticed, read me the riot act. So how do you not know something's happening in this kill room downstairs with 300 guns? I don't buy it.
Yeah, I think the only reason she did make a statement is because she has the Peacock cameras following her.
Oh, 100%. Self-serving, 100%.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, and that whole Peacock thing leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
I never even watched it. I don't have Peacock, but I also just, I don't.
Well, I don't have Peacock either, but I paid the $10 to watch it because I knew everyone was going to want to talk about it, and I did the video on it because just to save people the grief of going through it. It actually wasn't bad. The documentary actually wasn't bad. The documentary actually kind of backs up the story, though, that she was not around when these murders were happening, which I thought was kind of interesting because they had actually showed the receipts for the Atlantic City trips and all the other things, and the trip when she was overseas, and how Rex had called her up and said that, I had an accident and I had to redo the entire bathroom. And that's when I was like, whoa, you had an accident and had to redo the entire bathroom? Yikes.
So when I was watching Laura's interview yesterday on her front porch, was that the Peacock camera right on Asa?
I think so.
Yeah.
There was. If you guys didn't see that interview, Laura Engel, her name of her channel is the Engel Edit. She actually did. It was actually an impromptu presser. I mean,
with her lawyer.
Yeah, with the lawyer there, and they invited her onto the stoop, and they did an interview.
Wait, did they invite her, or she just came out there? She was there.
No, they invited her. Well, she was out there to cover, see if anything was going to happen.
Yeah,
and I don't know for sure. I haven't spoke to Laura about it yet, but I think Macedonio recognized her from News Nation and said, "Hey, why don't you come on up?" And he did. I mean, they spoke for a good 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to watch it? It's about 5 minutes, 45 seconds.
Oh yeah, put that on.
Yeah,
they didn't see
watch
that.
It while we're
Great
waiting.
interview.
Okay, I got you.
Thank God somebody's tech savvy.
You guys, we'll hear. I'm in Massapequa Park once again, right here behind.
Now we can't hear it.
I can hear.
I can hear it. We can hear it.
You could. Okay.
Behind me is the home of Rex Heuermann, and we just had a press conference from Bob Macedonio, the attorney who represents Asa Ellerup and her family, and he wanted to get ahead of what's happening tomorrow. That expected change of plea from Rex Heuermann from not guilty to guilty for the 7 counts he's charged with, and we're hearing that there is going to be an 8th victim tied to Rex Heuermann. So huge breaking news this week on this front. And then last night, John Ray, an attorney who represents one of the victim's family members, Valerie Mack, he represents her son. They filed a lawsuit against Rex Heuermann and of the family as well. claiming that, with the Peacock documentary, the film crew is here, with the Peacock documentary, they are making money, and he is filing suit about that. I asked Bob Macedonio after the presser, one-on-one, to give me kind of a recap of where he's at, why he held the press conference today. And while we were talking, Asa Ellerup actually opened up the screen door, came and sat down and had her coffee and listened in. Here's how it went. Guys feeling going into this big change of plea that we are expecting?
We are prepared for any outcome tomorrow, and I don't want to speculate because Mike Brown, Rex's attorney, and Ray Tierney, the district attorney, are the only ones that know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. The rest of us are pure speculating and listening to other reports as they're being leaked out, I think that's the better word.
Mm-hmm. And your reaction when you saw the suit from John Ray?
We'd always thought it was going to happen. I just thought the timing was a little bit inappropriate based upon what's anticipated to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow was really about the victims, their families. John Ray has once again tried to insert himself to make it about him. So we're looking to, I wanted to address that today so it's not being done tomorrow, because tomorrow's day is for the victims of the homicides that Rex Heuermann is allegedly responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
Not about John Ray, not about lawsuits. So we addressed that today to get ahead of that.
Right. Yeah, tomorrow is expected to. We've got the court appearance, we've got press conferences, and usually we see you at one of those press conferences. Are you not doing one tomorrow?
I will have a statement to make tomorrow on behalf of Asa and the family. And then I know there's separate press conferences that Mr. Brown and Mr. Tierney are having, and I don't know what they're going to say. I think everything's going to revolve around what happens at 11 o'clock in the court appearance.
Okay.
So we're prepared for anything that's going to go on tomorrow, as is Asa and Victoria.
And in regards to the house, I think it was asked out there and I couldn't hear you. Your client is still planning on staying here in this home?
We're here until the conclusion of the criminal case, and then she'll make whatever decisions that are the best interest of her and her family at that time. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's nowhere else to go. So there's property and a location in South Carolina, but right now we're here until the conclusion of this case, and then she'll decide what she'll do from there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
There's property down there, but there's no toilet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You
Very
just got to
good.
stop her from talking.
On the property where Rex's brother lives, there's a huge piece of property that's subdivided, and
right.
Craig has, I think 4 or 5 acres there, right?
It's got 12.
Huh?
What?
Peacock.
Can
I wanted to address the issue with Peacock. I mean, there's allegations of Peacock. Asa and the family are independent and separate from Rex. Anything that they do, they're entitled to do in their own. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I know John Ray is looking to attach himself to anything that has a dollar behind it, but they're free to do whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. And they're not profiting off of any actions of Rex Heuermann.
Mm-hmm.
There's a documentary being filmed about their life, how they're dealing with the husband, the father being charged with a series of murders.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about Rex Heuermann. It's about how they are processing this and how they're dealing with this and how they're recovering from this. And reiterate, they are victims of Rex Heuermann's actions. They didn't ask for this.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't ask for July 13th to come and be ripped out of their house and have every personal item that they have strewn around and just publicly displayed. They didn't ask for any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, we want to focus on the homicide victims, but they are homicide victims that are still living. They have to live with this the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be clear. So if they're going to do a documentary on it, so be it. It's their business.
Yeah, but people have brought it up from the very beginning, and you know this.
That's great. That's great. There's a documentary done on every serial murder case that's out there. Melissa Moore. We have Carrie Ross. They're done every single one by the living survivors of the actions of their father, their brother, their sister, whoever may be the murderers. Everyone. Susan Smith. Every single one there's been a documentary done on. Okay? This is what America wants to see. This is what the public wants to see. How is she dealing with this? That's what we want to see. It's human nature.
I know you can't talk about it until we get there, but if you could, was it a surprise of hearing about the possible 8th victim being tied to Rex?
There have been speculation that Rex may be involved for 50. So any unsolved homicide that's taken place in the county of Suffolk or county of Nassau, there has been speculation that Rex Heuermann was responsible for it because it's an easy target. Mm-hmm. Asian Doe. We have the baby with Baby Jane Doe. Mm-hmm. All the different ones. Rex, because you have an easy target. You'll hear it in court tomorrow. Whatever Rex is responsible for or not responsible for, I'm sure it'll be addressed tomorrow.
Okay.
And again, I'm confident Ray Tierney and the task force has thoroughly investigated what Rex's involvement is, and what Asa and Victoria's involvement is not, is more important.
Yeah, so if you guys aren't following Laura Ingle, her channel is called the Ingle Edit. But yes, I mean, so he talks about a couple of things here, Macedonia, right? I find it strange that she's going to go move and live with his brother, right? I mean, like, I would be like on a jet plane somewhere as far away from any of these people as possible. So the question, how fast will his DNA get into CODIS? Well, they're going to have to wait until he actually gets sentenced, which is going to be, was it June 7th or 17th? I think it's June 7th.
I know it's June. I'm not
17th.
sure.
To June 17th. Yeah. So, and actually interesting because right before all the schools get let out and all the summer vacations start. So I had said that this was going to happen way before that happened. But as soon as that happens, I think that day, as soon as the judge says, see ya, they'll be putting that DNA sample into the CODIS database. They'll start off at the state level first, and then they'll go to they'll go right to the feds.
Are you going to be able to go to the sentencing then, since it's in the summer?
I would have loved to have been there today, right? But I got school in the morning. It's kind of sandwiched in. I have teaching the early mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you'd have to get there. I think 4 o'clock in the morning. I think Josh Zeman, he's there at the scene. He actually made it into the courtroom. He was one of 30, and Flynn Brown says, "Joe, what color Mac? The blue one I got. I got the blue one." And he got there. He got there like 4:30 in the morning. That's how he got in. There was only 30 people that they allowed in the main room, and they had to open up these huge other rooms. So I don't believe Laura actually made the first room either. So Josh was actually in the courtroom. He actually saw this whole thing go down. So when we talk about this on Sunday, we're going to be getting his perspective right from the courtroom, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Too bad he couldn't sneak in one of those goggles with cameras.
I know, the Google glasses or whatever they're called now.
Yeah, I guess you know what? Those things are going to become a problem eventually one day, right? As they become more and more ubiquitous.
Yeah.
And I'm still not seeing anything on Ray Tierney's website here. It's 1:55, so maybe they're going to wait right till 2 o'clock to put this on.
I think, Joe, you mentioned Asa is going to move in with Heuermann's brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all for selfish reasons. They know there's money to be made from this Peacock deal and then maybe future deals. The brother probably wants some of that money, right? Somebody said that they don't think Asa is very sharp. I don't think so either. I don't think she could probably support herself or manage the money. That's why she's probably moving in with the brother, and that lawyer was so smarmy, so annoying because he's making a ton of money. But you know what? Everyone's making money out of this. And he's talking about like, this is not about Rex. Of course it's about Rex. Nobody's going to care about Asa unless she was married to Rex and this homicides happened. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, like I said, he's doing his job, right? So he's protecting his client. If you notice, he was kind of like put his hand up in front of her, like say, like, here, talk to the hand. Don't say another word.
Yeah.
So
he was pulling Dr. Evil. Zip it.
Yeah, that was basically what that was all about, which
he was doing that at the presser. He was like pulling her away and going, no questions.
Yeah, well, she was attached to his arm, if you saw that, right? He was leading her around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think Asa is an open book. Without this lawyer, she might just, oh my God, I would love to get her in the box and just talk to her.
Yeah. So do you need, if you're going to go to the sentencing on the 17th June, do you need like a press pass or are you just allowed to go in as a retired?
The press room, you would need a press pass.
I would just walk in backwards. I can't tell you how many times I walked in backwards to locations and I was successful at it.
Leave it to Mike to come up with a trick. Walk in backwards, folks. You heard him.
I won't say this. I was at somewhere and people were exiting, right? And it was a flock of people exiting. And then I saw like this guard, these New York City guards, they don't look very sharp. So I told my friends, we were online to buy tickets. I said, I think I could walk in backwards. So I just started walking in backwards. Here's my story for the day, folks. I just started walking in backwards, and I was in. Nobody knew any better. I'm a delinquent, folks.
It's a shame that the district attorney only has 1,000 subscribers to his channel. They got to work on that. He did a fantastic job. Ray Tierney did a fantastic job in his team putting this case together. I mean, good grief. This was pretty much ironclad. And even Michael Brown admitted to the fact that the prosecutor had put together a great case and that this wasn't they weren't gonna win this. But like we said before, they laid out what they were gonna do. They were gonna let this go through. They knew they had no chance of winning, and then they were gonna see if they could tie it up in the appellate courts and see how long they could take it.
Yeah. I find it interesting that he's going to cooperate with the FBI's behavioral unit.
It didn't. Yeah, I mean, I was a shocker that came out too, Missy. But I don't think he's got a choice, right? I mean, it didn't sound like they were giving him a choice. He's like, you're going to do this. You're going to have to talk to them.
Yeah.
Remember, the FBI is part of this task force, so it's an easy win for them to get that included in there.
He's going to be a modern day Hannibal Lecter, right? They're going to learn so much from studying this guy, how he thinks, how he planned, how he got away with it. How did he evade police? That's so much information. I think it's invaluable. I'm glad he's working with the behavioral analysis unit.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Kevin, welcome thank you for subscribing to the channel. Yeah, Mike, I think it's an absolute home run or score if that was part of the things that, okay, you're gonna plea, well, this is what you're also gonna do. You're gonna plead guilty, this is what you're gonna do as well too, or we're gonna take this to trial and you're gonna sit and go through this. I mean, if you think about it too, he's going to a place that everyone knows who he is already, right? So whatever prison he goes to, I think New York State has 76 prisons or something like that. So he can end up anywhere from Westchester County all the way up to what I had mentioned, Plattsburgh before, which is on the Canadian border. So he can and everywhere in between. And if anybody's never been to New York State, listen. There isn't anything up there. Once you get past Westchester County, it's just farms and everything. I mean, New York. Everyone thinks New York City, but New York State is pretty much wide open. Thank you, She Wolf, for joining the membership. Thank you very much.
She Wolf.
She Wolf. Sorry. Yes, I need reading glasses. As I'm looking at this, I've realized that.
Do you think Heuermann, when he gets placed in whatever prison, because he's working with the FBI behavioral analysis unit, do you think he's going to get a little bit of special treatment because they want to keep him alive, because they want him to keep cooperating with the unit?
Well, I mean, they're definitely going to have to put him in segregation. They're going to have to segregate him from everybody else for sure. Because if he is working with the FBI on top of some of the other things he's did, including, things to maybe children or kids underage, let's put it that way, or, all these young daughters of people. You got to remember, folks, right? In prison, there's a lot of people there who have wives and daughters and worry about people like this. And there's a code amongst some of these convicts. This is really not acceptable. And the fact that he's now going to be working with the FBI, yikes. Good luck. They better keep him separated like they're doing a Koberger, because I don't think he lasts long. Plus, he's got the reputation of someone who was being bullied. Remember, they had a couple of his friends saying that he used to be bullied all the time, right? This huge person used to get bullied all the time. So he's going to have a tough go of it. But you know what? I don't feel sorry for him, and nor do I care what happens to him in that respect.
He was probably being bullied because he's a big, giant goofball. He's like the size of Chewbacca.
And you would think that, I guess, the only thing he was able to handle was, 5-foot young ladies that weighed 100 pounds soaking wet, right? I mean, that's the bottom line here that we're talking about. But you know what, Mike? In so many ways, I'm glad that he does this. That he takes the plea, because like I said earlier, it just relieves the families. They'll go through that kind of verbal torture what their kids went through, or their wives, or their that's the stuff that you really kind of say to yourself is bad,
Lady Space just called me a dumbass. I don't even know what I said.
That's Mike's a dumbass. Well, that's not nice, Lady Space.
Mods, boot her right now. Put her in timeout.
She got put in timeout. So did y'all believe Michael Brown when he said that Rex claims that there's no other victims? Or
yeah, I don't
think about that.
I don't. Yeah, we were talking about that before you popped in, and the he said there's no more prosecutions, right? And then Mike interprets that as not on those cases, which I understand is already done. But the way he made it sound, I thought that he was saying that they're not looking into any other cases, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think that him pleading guilty to this 8 is going to protect him from other investigations. I don't think that's the case.
Yep. D's creative hands crochet. I can't wait until his DNA gets into CODIS. Maybe more closures for other families. Yeah, and maybe a federal nexus too. Right? We can see that happening. Explore Core. Thank you very much for becoming a member. I really appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, as we are now at the 2:05 hour and still no sign of the District Attorney Ray Tierney. But I am refreshing the pages as we speak. I'm on CBS New York. I am on the District Attorney Ray Tierney's page, and we're still waiting to see what's going on. So other people, please take a look at some of the other pages as I'm trying to see exactly what we have going on here. Let's make sure we don't miss it. We're closing in on 1,000 people watching this live now. So welcome everybody. If you're new to the show, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps out a lot as I'm trying to grow this channel into something better. I rarely do shows like this, right, Mike? This is an anomaly where we wait for a presser or I don't run trials. I don't do any of that stuff. Usually it's just kind of commentary and those kind of things about cases. So this is new and I'm learning new technology. So just bear with us as we try to get this along. I got Missy here trying to help me out, which was unexpected. So thanks for dropping in, Missy.
There's a live stream up somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure where though. They're Courtroom Confidential is live. So
with the presser?
Yeah. I don't know where they have the feed from either, Becky. Becky is
if right now on Channel 2 New York, it says live prosecution, but it just says upcoming.
Yeah. Same. Oops.
Oh, here we go. Something's going on.
Lured them into Nassau County, murdered them,
Put it
and
full
left
page.
their bodies in Suffolk County.
Okay.
He thought that by killing them,
It's in the
he could
bottom right
silence
corner.
them
Oh,
forever
no.
and get away with murder. But he was wrong, because it was these victims, these women, who refused to stay silent. First, that silence was broken by the victims' families, who advocated for their loved ones and agitated for justice. Then the noise grew louder through the ensuing investigation and examination of the evidence that the defendant left at or around the crime scenes, as well as on the bodies of the women themselves, that further told the stories of these victims and what had actually happened to them. It was this evidence that ultimately was put together by the task force that proved to be the defendant's undoing and led to the pleas of guilt in today's court proceeding. And it is in this way that these murders were solved. And while we in law enforcement, as well as our Suffolk County citizens, mourn the loss of these victims, we are also grateful to them and to their families, because without them, this defendant would have never been brought to justice and would still be walking amongst us. And he would still be portraying himself as that same harmless father next door, instead of what he is, a convicted murderer. Ultimately, this case is really about these victims and their stories. It is not about this defendant. And I speak for everyone in law enforcement, and when I say we are honored and thankful for being able to have played a small role in obtaining a small measure of justice for these families. For decades, this case stood out as a painful scar on the face of Suffolk County law enforcement, Suffolk County government, the citizens of Suffolk County, and the victims' families as well. However, with the defendant's pleas of guilt today, It means that for the first time since the deaths of these women, we can turn to all of these same people and say, Rex Heuermann will be held responsible for the 1993 murder of Sandra Castilla, the 1996 murder of Karen Vergata, the 2000 murder of Valerie Mack, the 2003 murder of Jessica Taylor, the 2007 murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, the 2009 murder of Melissa Barthelemy, the June 2009 murder of Megan Waterman, and the September 2010 murder of Ms. Costello. Despite this tragedy, there's a lot of different emotions, and I guess the word for today, despite the tragedy, despite all those emotions, is thankfulness. We are thankful. We have a lot to be thankful for, despite these emotions. First and foremost, we are thankful for the victims and the victims' families who told their stories, their loved ones' stories, and defended their loved ones' legacies. Without them, we would have never truly gotten to know those victims. My start in this case occurred before I took office. A homicide detective with the Suffolk County PD, Pat Portella, gave my phone number to Melissa and Amanda. Melissa is, of course, Maureen Brainard-Barnes' sister, and Amanda is Melissa Barthelemy's sister. And they spoke with me. We had a really good phone conversation. And during that phone conversation, I heard the pain and frustration in their voices. They wanted answers. They wanted closure. I told them that we were going to do things differently. It was going to be a new manner of doing things. We were going to form a task force, and we were going to bring all of the talents of all these people standing here to bear, and we were going to work together. We were going to not use this case as a political football to be kicked into the news stream on slow days or whenever it suited the political leader's purpose. We were going to be quiet. We were going to pretend as though it was business as usual in Suffolk County. And the reason why we were going to do that was because we knew what we were doing. We were playing to an audience of one. And that one person, of course, was the murderer. We wanted to lure that individual into a false sense of security. We wanted him to think he got away with this. And that was exactly what we did. And the reason why we wanted to do that is because when we solved this case and we had those arrest warrants and executed those search warrants, we wanted more evidence, and that's exactly what we got. So we were thankful for that. We were thankful we were able to bring this case to a close, but it started, our inspiration was these victims and their families. But those families were so much more to us. Through them, we truly got to know these victims. When we started, the victims were nothing but names on a blotter, black and white, writing on investigative reports. But once we spoke to the victims, they provided us with the color of these women, and we got to know them as the wonderful mothers, sisters, friends, and daughters that they were. And that inspired us even more to close this case, to come to a resolution. So again, first and foremost, we are thankful for those families. And I just want to individually, mention all of the families. The Brainard-Barnes family, I already spoke with Melissa, but I want to thank Melissa and her husband, Chris, and their children, Marie, who is Maureen's mom, Nicolette and Dylan, who are Maureen's two children. We want to thank them for their support, not only of Maureen, but for our investigation as well. And we want to say, on behalf of Suffolk County, we're sorry. The Barthelemy family, Amanda, who's Melissa's sister, Lynn, her mom, and Jeff, Lynn's partner. We want to thank them as well. When this case started, it started with the grand, well, it didn't start, but the charging started with the grand jury, and Amanda, Lynn, and Melissa came down and helped us with the grand jury. And I remember when Lynn came in, it was about 2-day proceeding. And when Lynn first walked in, she appeared she appeared a certain way. And by the end of that second day, she looked completely different. You could see that having forced her to relive this, you could see the sadness in her face and in her eyes. And we're sorry for that. But without their cooperation, we wouldn't be here today. So to Amanda, Lynn, Jeff, and everyone in the Bartholomew family, we want to say thank you. And we want to say we're sorry. To the Waterman family, we have Megan's aunt, Liz, and we have her daughter, Lily. We want to thank them. We didn't get to know them until after the indictment. But again, the way that they stood by Megan and the way they supported us, we want to say to them, thank you, and we're sorry. To Amber Costello and her family, specifically Amber's sister, Kim, we want to say thank you. And again, thank you for the support. And again, we're sorry for the loss of Amber. Valerie Mack, we met shortly before the indictment. We met Ed and Joanne Mack. Ed and Joanne Mack were foster parents and then the adopted parents of Valerie. And they gave Valerie the only happy home she ever knew. And really the only support she probably ever knew in her life. Meeting with them, they're incredibly special people. They're heroes. We also got to know Valerie's sister, Angela, and her son, Aaron. Again, equally wonderful people. So to them, we want to say thank you, and we're sorry. Jessica Taylor, we got to know Jessica's mom, Liz, after the indictment. Prior to the indictment, we got to know Jessica's cousin, Jasmine. And right after the initial indictment of the first 3 victims, Jasmine came to us on behalf of Liz and said, please help us. Please find out what happened to Jessica. And at that time, we didn't have enough. And we said, look, we're going to work and we're going to try to get there. And we're going to work as hard as we can. Please trust us. And, Jasmine, on behalf of Liz, said they would do just that. So to Jasmine and Liz, I want to say thank you. And again, we're sorry. To the Vergata family, Karen Vergata, we recently went, I did, I know members of the Suffolk County PD had already spoken to the family, but my team recently went and we saw Eric and Gary, who are Karen's sons. Gary's not here today, but we got to meet Gary, and I know Gary's watching, so we want to say hello to Gary. Eric's here. We want to thank Eric. And again, we want to thank you and tell them how much we admire them for supporting their mom and for supporting us. And again, we want to say we're sorry. On behalf of all of Suffolk County, we're sorry for Karen's passing. The Castilla family, Cassandra Castilla. We had the opportunity shortly before the indictment to meet with Ariel, who's the husband of Ruth, and Ruth is Sandra's sister. Again, wonderful people who really stood by and supported Sandra. So we want to thank them for that. We want to thank them for their support of our investigation. And on behalf of Suffolk County, we want to tell them we're sorry. We're sorry. So that's the family. Again, they inspired us. They're the reason why we do what we do. Today was a very special day for us in law enforcement. Because it gave us the opportunity to turn to these victims and their families and say, listen, we told you we were going to work really hard. We told you we were going to do everything we can to bring closure to you. And that's why we work in law enforcement. And, we were able to do that to a small measure today. So we're happy for that. And again, so thankful for them. In addition to our victims' families, we have our law enforcement family. And this case was, brought home by a task force that brought to bear the talents of a number of really great investigators from a lot of really great agencies. And again, so thankful to be able to have worked with so many talented people. It's not really, some people will say, well, this person solved Gilgo or that person solved Gilgo. That's not it at all. It was so many different pieces, so from so many different people, starting back in 1993 and culminating all the way through 2021. So again, and really beyond actually. So again, so thankful for the great work. First and foremost, I have to thank my chief investigator, Rich Zacharies. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've had the benefit of working with truly the best investigators in the country and in the world. Rich is the finest investigator I've ever worked for and worked with. I do sometimes feel as though I work for him. But he was the architect of our grand jury. He put together our grand jury. And I think there's, whether it's an attorney or an investigator, I think there are very few people who could have done that logistically. And so to Rich, I want to say thank you. To our detective investigators, our analysts, again, all great. And I'm gonna mention a lot of people, and it's gonna, because it's not exciting to mention a lot of people, but they deserve mention. So I'm gonna mention them. We're gonna go through everyone, but not everyone, but a lot of people. We're gonna talk about our phone experts, Justin Doolittle and John Primiano. Unbelievable work in this case and so many others. Our analysts, Kaylee Homer, Erin Hansen, unbelievable work combing through this evidence, these miles of evidence. And that's just to name a few. They're indicative of so many more. Our law enforcement partners, we had our DA people, our PD, our FBI, our New York State Police, our Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, our core people, Rory Forrestall, a DI. I hired Rory. He was supposed to come in and help us with our child abuse section, but he got waylaid in here, and he worked like heck for us and did a great job. We're so thankful for Rory. For Suffolk County PD, our homicide guys who are still with the task force today, Chris Calvaca and Scott Aquilina, great individuals, great investigators. Thank you so much, Chris, Scott. Yeah, Jimmy Watson, who worked with us, no longer with us. He's in Nassau. FBI agent Craig Mateo, special agent Craig Mateo. Everybody's young, I guess, compared to me, but I see him as a young guy, a really talented agent, really great guy, really, really helpful. Investigator Tiffany Attai with the state police. Again, along with Rory, Erin, and Kaylee, really, plunged into the evidence in this case and really, really helped us out. She was also the one who did the infamous avalanche search. So we want to thank Tiffany for all of the work and all the work that they all did. We have a number of retired task force and former law enforcement officers with us today. We invited them and saw John Santoro, I saw Donna Giordano, Pat Albergo, just to name a few. And we wanted to invite those retired members because, again, there was a lot of talk about this case, a lot of talk about, no one cared about the women, who were murdered in this case. That nothing could be further from the truth. I'll talk about Pat Alberga. He worked Jessica Taylor's case. He retired when we had brought enough evidence to bring that case together. We called Pat, and he came to help us testify. Actually, he and Donna Giordano testified for us. But when Pat Albergo, who's retired, came in, he sort of walked through the door like a kid, like a little kid walking down the stairs during Christmas. And he's like, "Why am I here?" And I'm like, "Because we're going to charge this case." He was thrilled. And that attitude is indicative of every single one of all these agencies. So grateful to work with all of these people, both past and present. Our ADAs, Nick Santamartino, Andrew Lee, Michelle Haddad, Larry Opizzo, God help them, right? They get to know what I'm really like. And so they were with us right from the very beginning, through the grand jury and through today. Great job by them. I want to thank them. My chief assistant, Alan Bodie, He really, along with Rich and I, we really thought a lot about how we were going to go forward with this case and planned a lot of things, from the grand jury. And he was really helpful with that. And also, he ran the office while I was running around pretending to be a lawyer. Our discovery expediters, our analysts, our paralegals, everyone. And that's just us. So now, we come to the Suffolk County PD, and, I'll talk a lot about Suffolk County PD was, with us every step of the way. Our police commissioner Catalina, our chief of department, Bill Dougherty, our chief of detectives, Sean Barron, a whole host of other people are with us today. We have our Suffolk County Sheriff, Errol Toulon with us, as well as Undersheriff Kevin Heavey, as well as Undersheriff John Becker. We really want to thank those two agencies. We want to thank Errol Toulon, and we want to thank Police Commissioner Catalina. They're two phenomenal partners. I can say this about Suffolk County and Suffolk County citizens when it comes to Police Commissioner Catalina and Sheriff Toulon. You are all in wonderful company. In addition, with regard to our Sheriff's Department, they provided logistics and traffic and sex trafficking related intel throughout our interviews, helped us to identify a lot of potential interviews of inmates and other people who had been sex trafficked. So we want to thank Suffolk County Sheriff for that. With regard, we also have the FBI here. We have Special Agent in Charge Michael Raffa, who's of the FBI New York Criminal Division. So Special Agent in Charge Raffa is in charge of the criminal division of the FBI in New York State. We want to thank Michael for coming in. We want to thank Supervisory Senior Resident Agent Don Osbacher, who's been with us from the very beginning. We want to thank them for lending us their expertise, and more importantly, their people. The cell phone analysis that we all heard about, that was done by the CAST, or cellular. The FBI CAST stands for Cellular Analysis Survey Team, and specifically Special Agents Eric Perry and Mike Sabrick. Really unbelievable work by them. Eric, he provided the drive time records, so those boxes, those areas of interest in Manhattan and in Massapequa Park. That was developed because in 2011, Eric Perry drove with equipment through every single neighborhood and extensively mapped the cell phone coverage in those areas and allowed us with specificity to be able to develop these areas of interest. That had to be done in 2011. The landscape changed, the cell sites changed, after Superstorm Sandy, the geography changed. So, we went back to 2011, and that work that Eric did, and just phenomenal. So we want to thank the FBI. We want to thank Eric Perry and Mike Sabrick. They both created maps for us to use in the grand jury. They testified in the grand jury, as well as John Primiano from my office with the help of Justin Doolittle, and just great work. With regard to forensics in this case, I think I'd said earlier that IgG, investigative genetic genealogy, did not play a role in this case. I was wrong. I had forgotten that IgG was used to identify victim Valerie Mack prior to my involvement in the case. So I want to thank the FBI and Lori Giordano for that. They also, with us, helped to identify Karen Brigada. So again, thank you. FBI, they provided surveillance of the defendant, both in the city and on Long Island, and their surveillance team. I was nervous. I had never met these guys. I had worked with them as a federal prosecutor, but that was a high risk, high reward thing. If they get made, everything comes down. If they get detected, but they weren't detected. Not only did they follow the defendant, but they recovered the abandonment samples. So we want to thank them. Suffolk County PD, they recovered DNA from the defendant's house. We want to thank the homicide squad for that. And again, working together, we were able to really develop that DNA evidence. So we want to thank them. We provided, the FBI provided a searchable account, digitalized this entire file for us. We want to thank the FBI for that. New York State Police. Today we have Major Chris Casal, who's the troop commander of Troop L. We have Captain Chris Jean, who works in Troop L as well. Again, they provided Tiffany Atai to our task force, who was integral to our success. They provided assistance to search warrants, of all the search warrants with regard to this case and all the various locations. They were on the scene with our Suffolk County Police Department gathering evidence. They transported evidence from the house to Suffolk County property, along again with Suffolk County PD. The avalanche truck, they transported it from South Carolina to our lab. There was a Ram Charger from Pennsylvania that was associated with the Sandra Castilla case. State troopers took that from Pennsylvania, brought it to our lab. We were able to develop evidence linking that truck to the murder of Karen Vergata. We want to thank them. They provided us with K-9 units along with the NYPD, Suffolk County PD. I want to thank all of those agencies. I want to thank Nassau for helping us with the search warrant. I want to thank Nassau County DA's office for helping us with the prosecution of the weapons case. Our Suffolk County Crime Lab, we want to thank them. Tremendous work. I particularly, is Clyde here? Where's Clyde? Clyde, raise your hand. Where's Clyde? All right, Clyde's all the way in the back as usual, hiding. So Clyde was the hair analyst in this case. He collected hairs from all the victims in this case, save for Jessica Taylor. And he pushed the PD and he pushed our office to send certain hairs out for mitochondrial and then later nuclear DNA testing. And when we started this case, he was working with Nick Santomartino in my office, and he was recalling with great specificity certain hairs of interest that he thought were really going to bear fruit. And I was talking to Nick, and I was saying, does this guy really, like, is he really, like, was he this meticulous? Is he this sure? And so Nick said, sit down with him, sit down with Clyde. And we sat down with Clyde, and, to go to a crime scene, in the 2000s and not have the capability to get nuclear DNA, but yet to be so precise and exact in gathering evidence, cataloging the evidence, safeguarding the evidence, and then being able to advocate for its use. Without Clyde, we probably wouldn't have gotten that evidence. So, Clyde's retired now, but we really want to thank Clyde. Bob Jenna, he collected hairs on the Castilla case. He recovered 2 hair. He was a former chief of Suffolk County Crime Lab. He's retired. He collected 2 hairs on Sandra Castilla. Did a great job, similar to Clyde. Don Doler, the former chief, he was the chief of the lab when we started this. Great job. We want to thank him. Connie Dinkle is the current chief of the lab, and she did a great job and continues to do a great job. We want to thank them. Bob Bauman, Helen Wong, Liz Sepulveda, Kerry Anito, Craig Hamer. All of these forensic scientists did a fantastic job, and we want to thank them. Again, they were in the house with our law enforcement partners, gathering this evidence meticulously, precisely, and without, this. I was thinking about this. This isn't a cast of hundreds. When you look at when you bring all this together, it's a cast of thousands. So we want to thank all of those individuals. Office of Chief Medical Examiner, City of New York, Brad Adams, Mark Desire, and Neha Desai. Brad Adams was the anthropologist. He identified the Gilgo 4 and he was the one who urged investigators to go back after the discovery of Melissa Barthelemy, which resulted in the discovery of the 3 other victims known as the Gilgo 4. Mark Desire is the assistant director of biology of the lab. He was our liaison. He made all of his people available to us. Ms. Desai, she testified for us in the grand jury. Her DNA analysis led to the identification of the Gilgo Beach Four. Again, she testified in the grand jury, a fantastic job. Our outside experts, mitotyping technologies, Gloria Dimmick and Jenna Manges. Gloria testified first in the grand jury. Fantastic scientist, fantastic person. Astria Forensic, Dr. Ed Green, Dr. Christina Valencia, Kelly Harkins Kincaid. Those scientists with Astria are at the very top of their field, and they did something revolutionary in this case, and they've set the bar high going forward, and we're going to be able to utilize this technology going forward to solve a great many cases. So we want to thank Astrea Forensics, and I want to tell you, if you think you're smart, you should spend a week with Dr. Green, and then suddenly you realize maybe you're not as smart as you think you are. At least that's the sense I got after spending time with all those great scientists. NYPD, again, they helped us with the cadaver search in April of 2025. We had individuals from their TARU unit testify in the grand jury with regard to phone calls made by the defendant. They helped us to attain records, missing person records involving in this case, spanning back years and years. Again, at a drop of a hat, even though it wasn't their case, they came in and helped us. Scarborough Police Department, with regard to Megan Waterman. The Megan Waterman case came in as a missing person case, and it went across the desk of a detective, Don Blatchford, who's here with us today. And Don, gathered the evidence and really did everything he could to try to locate Megan. And when the trail took him to Suffolk County, he didn't stop. He continued to help us in our investigation. He brought the Waterman family to Long Island for interviews and for court proceedings. He testified in the grand jury, and he's had a long, illustrious career in Maine. He's going to retire, but he held off his retirement to see this case through. And again, I talked about the Suffolk County PD guys who cared about these victims. Don Blatchford is another individual who cares about these victims, like all of the people in law enforcement. So we want to thank them. United States Secret Service, with the massive digital evidence in this case and their forensic science division, all of the massive amount of digital evidence, they helped us process it. We had their forensic science division, we recovered a Bounty paper towel off of the crime scene of Megan Waterman. They processed that and they compared that to the same Bounty towel that we recovered in the home of the defendant. They matched, and this was a memento that we argued the defendant kept. Would have been a key piece of evidence. So we want to thank the Secret Service for that. The telephone carriers, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, Nextel, and AT&T. Again, phone records spanning back to 1993. We've got to get those records and evidence. Again, Rich Zachary's was integral in this, but they went above and beyond they went above and beyond for us because they knew this case was important. We want to thank them. With regard to the court staff, Judge Mazie and his staff, I want to thank them for their courtesies. And I want to thank them for all that they did in their professionalism. And this is a difficult case, and they handled it with aplomb. So, I'm going to turn it over to our partners, but just to clarify regarding the plea of guilt, the defendant has pled guilty to 3 counts of murder in the first degree pertaining to the murders of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. And all of those 3 individuals were killed within 18 months between July of 2009 and September of 2010. That enabled us, the proximity of those murders enabled us to charge those 3 murder 1 counts. In addition to the sentences of that is life without the possibility of parole. With regard to the other 4 victims, they pled guilty to 4 counts of murder in the second degree. That's Sandra Castilla, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, Valerie Mack, and Jessica Taylor. Those sentences, 25 to life to run consecutive to each other and to the murder one charges. This defendant has additionally agreed to accept responsibility for the murder of Karen Vergata. And again, the sentence will be 25 years to life without the possibility of parole on the first 3 and 25 to life on the last 4, all of which is going to run consecutive. So we have 3 life without parole sentences and 4 25 to life sentences, all to run consecutive. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to our law enforcement partners. So I'm just going to leave with this. This case closes and another one opens. There are still, bodies on that beach. There are still bodies in Suffolk County. There's no rest for the weary. We are going to continue to work with our partners and to try to obtain closure for as many families as we can. Thank you very much, and we're going to call up Police Commissioner Catalina.
Thank you, District Attorney Tierney. The calm, serene, almost grandfatherly image that Rex Heuermann portrayed since his arrest was a lie. And quite frankly, an insult to both law enforcement, but more importantly, the families that had to endure that during every court appearance over the last 2.5 years. Today, he was exposed for exactly what he is, a sadistic, soulless, murderous monster. And thankfully, everybody today got to see that. I want to thank all of the members of law enforcement who were a part of this. I don't have as long a list as Ray, but most importantly, I want to thank the Suffolk County Police Department, both past and present. We have many retirees who came out here, participated in this case because, like Ray said, they cared, and this was a part of them for a long time. All of our law enforcement partners, everybody who was involved in this task force really did, really an amazing, amazing job. So thank you to everybody who was involved in this. And to the families, no one can ever replace the lives that were taken from all of you, and way too often they were way too young. But, we hope that this brings some measure of solace to you. Thank you. Thank you for all your cooperation.
Next, we'll hear from Sheriff Toulon.
I want to thank the district attorney and this entire task force for the hard work that they've done over the last 2.5 years. Today's plea delivers a measure of justice to families who have waited decades for answers after unimaginable loss. While nothing can bring the loved ones back, I am proud we were able to hold Rex Heuermann accountable. Again, thanking the DA and the police commission and all the men and women who worked tirelessly. I also want to thank my staff, to uproot an entire jail security system to accommodate an individual of this magnitude over the last 2.5 years. Our staff has done a phenomenal job in our Riverhead facility where he's been housed, and also the staff that have been assigned to our anti-trafficking initiative. And since his arrest in 2023, my priority has been ensuring that he was safely housed in our correctional facilities because justice needed to be served in the courts and not in our jails. This responsibility is one for me and my officers who have taken very seriously. And I've spent my entire career in corrections overseeing some of the most notorious individuals, and what has been the most alarming is how ordinary Heuermann has been. It's a chilling reminder that those capable of horrific acts can often go unnoticed. And another reminder of how much great investigative work has been done to finally apprehend and have a plea today. Most importantly, today is about the victims and their families. You have endured profound loss and years without answers. We hope this guilty plea brings all of you some peace and closure. Our thoughts remain with you and your loved ones today and always. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Special Agent in charge of the FBI, Rafa.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Michael Rada, the Special Agent in charge of FBI New York Field Office Criminal Division. I'm proud to stand alongside Suffolk County Police Department Commissioner Kevin Catalina Suffolk County District Attorney Tierney, Suffolk County Sheriff Toulon, to announce the plea of Rex Heuermann, the Gilgo Beach serial killer. Today's announcement highlights the importance of partnerships and perseverance. For decades, the families of these women have been left searching for answers and waiting for justice. This ends today because these agencies before you never gave up. The detectives, the troopers, the agents tirelessly chased every lead and left no stone unturned. In 2011, FBI New York began collaborating with the Suffolk County Police Department to find out who was responsible for these cold-blooded murders. Our office leveraged many resources, some of which have been described already, over the years to include our CAST, our cellular analysis survey teams, behavior analysis teams, evidence response teams, the surveillance groups, forensic and document lab teams at Quantico, and investigative genealogy tools to identify some of Heuermann's victims and help Suffolk County Police piece this puzzle together. The close coordination across every agency ensured that a monster lurking in our community was held accountable for his heinous crimes. While we'll never be able to fill the hole in the lives of the victims' loved ones, I hope that today brings a small sense of closure. Once again, I'd like to thank our state and local partners for their unwavering determination and investigative grit, and that includes the retired agents, detectives, and troopers that are here today. To see them sitting in that courtroom today in the back of that room was really awe-inspiring. To see their commitment to justice doesn't end when they hand in their badge and gun when they retire. Finally, thank you to the agents and analysts of FBI New York Long Island Safe Streets Task Force, the Special Operations Group, our CAST folks, Investigative Genealogy Program folks, and I'd really like to thank DA Tierney and your office for what you did and the resolve that you showed in this case. Just tremendous. Thank you all.
So, Rafa has just been appointed from New Jersey to head the New York office, and we thank him for coming today, and we're really looking forward to continuing our great relationship with the FBI and our federal partners. Last but not least, we're going to hear from the state troopers and Chris Casal. Chris Casal was with us. Then he went to I believe Albany or New York City. He's back with us. We couldn't be happier, but he's going to say a few words.
Thank you, DA Tierney. I'm Major Christopher Casal. I served as the Troop Commander for the New York State Police, Troop L. Today marks a significant moment for Long Island and for the families who have endured unimaginable loss for many years. The guilty plea of Rex Heuermann represents a measure of accountability in a case that has deeply impacted our communities. While this brings us closer to justice, it does not lessen the pain suffered by the victims and their loved ones. This outcome is a result of years of persistent investigative work and strong collaboration among our law enforcement partners who made up the Gilgo Beach Homicide Task Force, and I commend all of them for their dedication and extraordinary work on this case. It reflects an unwavering commitment to our mission to never forget the victims and to continue pursuing justice, regardless of how much time has passed. This case not only underscores the importance of coordination across agencies, but the role of advancements in forensic science, technology, and intelligence sharing. Today is not a day of celebration, it is a day of reflection, accountability, and remembrance. We honor the victims and stand with their families who have shown extraordinary strength and resilience. The state police and all the agencies you see represented here remain committed to serving our communities and to the continued pursuit of justice for every case that is entrusted to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And now that you're back, we look forward to resuming our great relationship with you. Obviously we have a lot of victims' families here. I believe that we are going to, Gloria Allred represents a number of those victims, and I think they asked for Gloria to come forward and make a statement on behalf of many of the victims. So we'll call Ms. Allred.
Thank you. I'm Attorney Gloria Allred, and I represent a number of the family members who suffered the terrible fate of the tragedy that was inflicted on their loved one. Today, Rex Heuermann, who thought he had the perfect blueprint and plan for serial murder, pled guilty to the murder of 8 young women. Some of these murder victims were young mothers just trying to earn a little extra money to support their children. Because many did not have funds to go to college or get a decent job that would help them to provide adequate support for their children, they turned to sex work in order to help their families. It wasn't what they wanted to do, but it was what they felt forced to do because they had no meaningful alternatives. Some wanted to help their parents, their grandparents, and their loved ones. Some just wanted to survive in this difficult and challenging world. Little did they know that the defendant, Rex Heuermann, did not care about their hopes and dreams, or that they had families and friends who loved them. He appeared to care only for himself and executing what he thought was his perfect blueprint for murder. The evidence gathered and articulated in the prosecutor's response to the defendant's bail application demonstrated that the defendant had a, quote, planning document, end quote, utilized by Heuermann to methodically blueprint and plan out his kills. And those are quotes from the bail application. He also believed he had a perfect plan to avoid collection of evidence against him and to evade capture by law enforcement. However, what he had thought was his perfect blueprint for serial murder did not take into account the courage and the persistence of the murder victims' family members who refused to give up until the murderer of their loved ones was found, convicted, and sent to prison for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. Many of the murder victims' family members became the voices of their loved ones, crying out for them not to be ignored and forgotten, and demanding answers and justice for them. Many of those family members whom I represent are here today. It was bittersweet for them to be in court and hear the defendant plead guilty to the murder of their loved one and the manner of their death. But the truth was important to them, and they heard it today. Last week, they were faced with a difficult question. Did they agree with the Suffolk County District Attorney's decision to agree to accept the defendant's plea of guilty in lieu of trial? Or would they have preferred that a trial take place so that they could hear all of the evidence that the prosecutor would seek to admit against the defendant? In a few moments, you will hear their answers to that question. And I will ask them to come up to the microphone, or if they would prefer to stay where they are, they can answer from there. In no particular order. Family members of Megan Waterman, please come forward and state your name and relationship to Megan Waterman. Elizabeth Meserve is her aunt. A little louder, please, Elizabeth. Or can you come up here? Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Meserve. I'm Megan Waterman's aunt, and I helped to raise her daughter. And on behalf of Megan, we definitely accept the plea.
Thank you. And also, we have with us Megan's daughter, Liliana Waterman. Oh, okay, good, thank you.
My name is Liliana Waterman. I am the daughter of Megan Waterman, and on behalf of her and my aunt and all of our family back home, we do accept and we are very, very thankful for everything that they've done for us.
Thank you. Family members of Melissa Bartholomew, please come forward and state your name and relationship to Melissa Bartholomew. Lynn Bartholomew, mother? No? Okay. Amanda Funderburg, sister?
I'm Elizabeth Vakil. I'm Jessica Taylor's mother. And I am glad that this is over as far as him pleading guilty. It took a big chunk of stress off of me and my family.
And you accept that the plea?
Oh, yes, I accept the plea wholeheartedly.
Thank you so much. And then we have Jasmine Robinson, who is a cousin of Jessica Taylor, victim Jessica Taylor. You okay? Family members of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, please come forward and state your name and relationship to Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Missy Khan's sister. Nicolette Brainard-Barnes' daughter. Dylan Haggett, son. This is Nicolette.
I am Nicolette Brainard-Barnes, the daughter of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and on behalf of my mother, I accept this plea.
Dylan Haggett.
I am Dylan Haggett, the son of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and I accept the plea.
Okay. So I think we have everyone that I represent. If there's anyone I don't represent who would like to say something, feel free to come forward. Okay. The defendant's plan to get away with the murders he committed was also unsuccessful. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Okay, I could actually just use this. Thank you. Somebody else. Oh, good. Just say your name, please.
I'm Diane Doherty, and I'm the mother of Karen's sons, Eric and Gary. And I just want to say I'm thankful that we came to a conclusion that brought peace to everybody. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, you will. Okay, good. Thank you. The defendant's plan to get away with the murders he committed was also unsuccessful because many law enforcement officers who participated in this massive investigation were so dedicated. We would like to thank each and every one of you who contributed to bringing the defendant to justice. We deeply appreciate you and your dedication to finding, testing, and preserving evidence for this case. The result today would never have been achieved without your hard work and sacrifice. Even if we cannot meet and thank each one of you in person, please know that your efforts on behalf of the families, loved ones, are respected and appreciated. We look forward to thanking as many of you as possible after the time of the sentencing in June. The journey to justice has been painful for each and every family member who I represent. In conclusion, Melissa Kahn, also known as Missy, would like to share her feelings about this day and the almost 2 decades in which she has sought justice for her sister, Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Missy.
I just want, can I have my family behind
Of
me?
course you
Okay,
can,
perfect.
sure.
Thank you.
Would you like to use this? Go ahead.
We'll see.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, okay. Hi, my name's Melissa Can. Everybody calls me Missy, and I'm the sister of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and this is my family, well, some of it. First, I want to begin by thanking the district attorney, his office, the detectives, the FBI, the New York State Police, and the entire task force. For years, they never stopped. They carried this case with determination and heart, and our family will forever be grateful. We are forever thankful for the work that led us here. Finally, a sense of relief. The guilty plea brings solace, and I like to thank everyone who had a part in that fight for justice. Thank you to our lawyer, Gloria Allred. I also would like to thank the media for continuing to keep this case in the public eye. Today is not about the person responsible. Today is about the women's lives who were stolen. It is about their voices, their future, and their families, the love that still surrounds them. They are the reason why we are here. 19 years, I lived in the space between heartbreak and hope. Throughout these years, I searched for answer, for truth, for justice. There were moments when the weight felt unbearable, but I never gave up. Maureen was never forgotten, not for a single moment. From the day she went missing until today, she has been carried in every breath, every memory, every fight for answers. This has been a long journey of hope that one day we would stand here and say her name with justice beside it. Today, that long, painful journey brings us to this moment. Our mission, our promise to Maureen is finally met with accountability. For Melissa's, Megan's, Amber's, Jessica's, Valerie's, Sandra's, and Karen's family, I stand with you in deep love and understanding. No one should ever have to walk this path, yet here we all are, connected by loss, by strength, and the unbreakable bond of our loved ones. The bond some of us has created has been one that is unique in a sense that it did not form from a previous friendship or blood. It was created by trying to pick up the pieces of our world that had shattered in tragedy. And I am so grateful for us. To every family out there still searching, still waiting, still holding on, please do not give up hope. Even when it feels impossible, even when the years pass and the silence grow heavy, keep going. Your loved ones matter. They are not forgotten, and one day answers can come. Finally, to Maureen, the promise I made to you so long ago was simple. Sorry. I would never stop searching for justice for you. Through every year, every setback, every unanswered question, I carried you with me, and I kept that promise. And today, it has been done. Justice has finally found its way to you. Your voice was never silenced, your story never forgotten, and your life will always be more than the tragedy that took you. This moment is not the end, but a reminder that love endures, truth prevails, and hope never fades, because even in the darkest moments, justice will find its way. Thank you.
The victims will not be answering questions. I call them the victims because they are also victims, even though they are family of murder victims. I can take one question. And if there are none, yes, sir. Could you speak up a little, please?
The defense attorney, Mike Brown, when asked, why did
Not much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw something on Facebook today that the New York Post is still calling our girls sex workers. Stop it.
I don't have a comment on anything he says. Perhaps the district attorney does.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah. So thank you, Ms. Allred. Thank you, Missy. Thanks to the victims. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. Well, I think traditionally a change of plea is when, they plead guilty to every single count in the indictment. In this sense, we are going to be dismissing 3 charges. So that is a plea deal. Obviously, he's getting the maximum under the sentence. So how you categorize that, I would leave it to everyone. Yes. So I know, Mary, you're going to get sick of hearing this because I say it every time. Doesn't matter what I think, it matters what I can prove. You've heard that before, right, Mary? I think that, first thing we need to, there's a number of things we can do, but a huge step in moving that case forward would be to finally identify that individual. We're continuing to work with that IGG. And hopefully that we can do that, but we'll continue to work that case. We'll continue to work all the other, unfortunately, many cases in Suffolk County. So. Again, doesn't matter what I believe, it matters what I can prove. So, I'll leave the belief and the conjecture up to whoever wants to do that. I'm gonna, continue to do what we do, speak through our indictments, and we are where we are. But we're gonna continue to work forward, and so gratifying to be able to provide closure for these families. Hopefully, for that individual and his family and the people who cared about him, we want that same closure. Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, it most certainly is case law. Do you work for the defense? It is. We prevailed in the Fry hearing. It happens all the time. Not every time that you make law in New York State does the case result in a trial. So, that is the existing law since that decision, like we knew it would. Nuclear DNA from hair samples has moved forward. We're on even stronger footing than we were at the time of the hearing. So we feel great about it, and we're happy. And we're going to use that science. We're going to defend that science, and let's do it. We feel great about it because the science is most definitely on our side. Yeah, I think we wanted to synopsize, so we wanted to name the victims, right? Because it's about them. We wanted, and we're talking, starting in 1993, ending in September of 2010, we have these 8 women, right? And all of the years in between. So I think it provided a context of this defendant and what he's done and what he pled guilty to. So it was important for us to do it in that way. And then with regard to the allocution, every jurisdiction, there are elements for murder or what have you. Those elements are slightly different. And, but in every jurisdiction, you have to prove each and every element of the crime charged against the defendant. So for instance, when you ask the defendant how old he is, that's an element. He has to be above the age of 18. So, it's really the allocution is really guided by the elements of the crime, and, it has to be satisfactory to the judge. So that's just the way we decided to do it. I mean, I think that's just the way we do it in New York. I mean, that's a standard plea, so he had, admitted responsibility, allocated to it. So that's that. We still have the sentencing, so we'll hear more on, from that. Yeah, we're not, we're not going to have individual investigators speak. Again, we want to thank Trooper or Investigator Atai for the great work she did in that regard, and very emblematic of all the great work that was done in this case. So with regard to the no further charges, that pertains to the 8 murders that were discussed. That's it. So with regard to other investigations, those potential investigations are not covered by the plea in this case. So we'll just have to see what happens with, see how that unfolds. But the plea and the coverage pertains to the 8 women that we were discussed in court today. That's it. Yes. Again, what we do is, when somebody wants information, we give it to them, and we share that information all the time. We've been sharing information. We'll continue to share that information. I think when people talk about, now he's going to, after sentencing, he'll go into CODIS, I said this before, but I want to make clear, we have the ability as investigators to provide evidence in our case on a case-by-case basis. So in other words, if there's a case in a state and they want specific information about one of our cases, we could share it, and we've done that. Yeah, sure. Again, I think that, the FBI does such phenomenal work, but then you have, the real work that the FBI does, and then, the work you see on TV. So, one of the many great units that the FBI has is behavioral analysis unit. And that is, that unit at one of its core missions is like a clinical role. In other words, they're going to interview the defendant, gain insight into his motivations, background, as sort of an academic and scientific exercise. So that's what that's about. They're a clinical. Those are clinical interviews. Those aren't investigative interviews. I believe that they're going to limit that to just the 4 corners of what he pled guilty to, and try to gain insight. So they could gain insight and knowledge going forward on new cases, and that's kind of what the FBI does. Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, it was a Ram Charger owned by him, and it was Sandra Castilla. No. I was a federal prosecutor, and as a federal prosecutor, you have a lot more, I would say, sway with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and you could sort of dictate, those things. In the state, the state Department of Corrections does their thing, and so not only is there nothing in there, I don't believe I would really be able to do anything. Obviously, So that'll be a function of the Department of Corrections, but no. Yeah, I mean, I think with regard to this, again, he's not serving less time. So, as far as that, it's pretty much the best we could do. But, I think every single case you have, there's these discussions and, talking about pleas as a prosecutor, that's third rail stuff because defendants have a presumption of innocence. They have a right to trial. So imagine if every time in one of my cases in my office, I said, "Oh, Smith, yeah, he's going to plead guilty. He knows he did it." That's third rail stuff. That's unethical behavior. So we don't talk about pleas, because it would be unethical as prosecutors because we're impeding upon that presumption of innocence. So we don't do that, number one. Number two, we don't have control over what a particular defendant's going to do. And in every single case, there's talk of pleas. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't happen. We prepare a case, we go forward, we see what happens. I don't think, until the allocution was completed, I didn't know whether or not this was going to go through. So you wait and see. I think people say, "Oh, it's going to be a plea." Well, maybe. No, I think I've been doing this for 30 years. And as a young prosecutor, you chase pleas every day. You say, "Look, maybe we'll get a plea. Maybe we'll get a plea." We'll call. It makes you look desperate. It takes you away from your preparation. So you go forward. And if the defendant decides to plead guilty, go ahead and let him plead guilty. But, it doesn't really factor into our mindset because a lot of times you're absolutely sure that a case is going to plead guilty. It doesn't. Other times you think it, and just the exact opposite. So you don't know. So you don't waste your time thinking about it. Yes, ma'am. So Mr. Allred just said that the families were not taking questions. So perhaps offline you could address that. Yes. I don't really think it's just sort of organic. It happens organically. What happens is you sort of go from talking about it and just going forward. And then, at a certain point in time, there was, discussion with regard to, Karen Vergata. And that's done in a proffer setting where the defendant discloses, but you can't use it against them unless they waive that. So, once that happened, we began to think that certainly a plea might occur, but you never know. Yeah, well, normally, say this was a robbery case, right? And there's a maximum of 25 years and the person could get 10 years, right? So you're negotiating, all right, I think we could dispose of this for 12 years or 10 years or 6 years or whatever it is. That's a normal plea. There was no negotiation with regard to numbers. So it was basically like, we'll continue to work this case. If it comes a time when this defendant, and it's the defendant's decision, when this defendant wants to plead guilty, we'll go ahead and take it. But we're not discussing, we'll give him this or we'll give him that. So there really wasn't all those discussions. And I can tell you that, the reason why this case pled guilty was because it was the defendant's decision to do so. The defendant wanted to plead guilty. If the defendant didn't want to plead guilty, the defense would have taken the case to trial, and we would have followed along. But it was, at a certain point in time, it was the defendant's decision to say, I'm pleading guilty. No. Well, I mean, if you look at, I always talk about this, Mary, and we've talked about this, right? And I like to kid you, right? When you say, well, we're talking about a case in this jurisdiction. And you ask me, and I'll say, what does the bail letter say? And you say, well, your jurisdiction is the only jurisdiction that does bail letters, right? Like, so we've provided a tremendous amount of evidence. And, the evidence in this case is primarily going, almost, the lion's share of the evidence was the phone evidence, the financial records, the information with regard to the witness statement with regard to Amber Costello the night before, the Chevy Avalanche, the DNA. I think I said cellular phone analysis, and that's that, and of course the planning document and the mementos that were found. That's the case. I think there's a tremendous interest in this case, but when you get down to it, the actual commission of the crime, there were 2 witnesses to the commission of all of those crimes. And unfortunately, each time the other witness is no longer with us. So they're just certain, we can't answer every single question because there are no eyewitness to these cases. I felt great. I mean, and the reason why I felt great was because I knew it would provide closure to the families. This is a tough forum for victims. The protections extend to the defendant, and it's a process that's tough on victims. So to go through an extensive trial would have been difficult for the family. So we're glad that we were able to spare the families of that, and that's what we're most happy with. So again, look at this deal, and you tell me what we offered and what we didn't offer, and I'll let you decide. I know what I think. Again, it very seldom matters what I think. So if we gave him a deal, then we gave him a deal. Well, so when I ran for office, and when I spoke with the victims' families before I took office, I discussed this task force. And I said, if you look at Suffolk County, the history of this case, every time there's a new person on the case, prior to me getting there, you'll see they go out to Gilgo Beach, and all you guys follow, and they're walking along the beach looking for clues, presumably. I don't know what the heck they're doing. But it's a great media event, and it's a great opportunity to talk about all the great work they're doing and how close they are to catching someone. We did the exact opposite. When we came in, we wanted the one person who mattered, the murderer, to think it's business as usual. We didn't say, hey, it's a slow day. Let's toss Gilgo in the media pool, to sort of get some clicks. We purposely wanted everyone, especially the individual who committed these crimes, to go to sleep. Because when we wanted to work our case, develop our case, and when we proved it, right, when we got that grand jury indictment, we wanted to simultaneously arrest him and execute a whole bunch of warrants. And if he was lulled to sleep, we would get additional evidence, and that's precisely what happened. So I am very proud for the work that we and the other members of the task force did, because how we envisioned it happening, that's what happened. Yes. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I apologize for that. Yeah, I anticipated your question. There's I don't think there was one. The phone evidence, financial evidence, the mementos, the planning document, and the DNA evidence, right, off of those hairs. All of it is layered. And so when you take it all together, really, really significant. And I think the key for us was, when initially we had, the avalanche. Well, that's great. Let's get more. We had mitochondrial DNA. That's great. Let's get more. We had cellular data. Let's get financial records to link that in. So more. You have too much evidence. Too much evidence is not enough evidence. We realized this was a significant case. These families waited years. So we were going to make sure that when we brought this case to court, it was going to be a very strong, powerful case. And I can tell you, due to the work of these great agencies and these great people, to my left, primarily, some to my right, we built a great case. And the reason why we built such a great case is because at no time did we ever say, well, that's enough. We're good. Keep on going. Sure, I'm sorry. Well, I'm talking about the case against Rex Heuermann and that indictment, right, which he pled guilty to the murders of every single woman on that indictment, plus an eighth woman. That case closes. But any case involving an unsolved homicide in Suffolk County, those cases remain open. That's not the way it works. We don't presume that he did or didn't do any more cases. We go to each case like we did with each of these women. We develop the evidence from those cases. We see where it leads us, and that's what we do. But a lot of other people in Suffolk County said, we think it's this person. We don't think anything. We go to the crime scene. We start at the crime scene. We develop the evidence, and we see where it leads us. That's it. When I'm ready to charge somebody, I will, but I'm not going to sit here and say this murder, we think it's one or two of these people, maybe a third. We don't speculate. We work until we get the evidence to speak through an indictment. Sorry, I don't mean to, but I think that that's the way you do cases, and that's the way we do cases. Yeah. Yeah, so while we were doing this case, right, Nassau was working on the case involving Tanya Jackson, and they've brought an indictment, right, and prior to that, we brought our indictment, and Nassau gave us the space to work. We appreciate that. Now Nassau has brought their indictment. We're going to give them the space to work. So we'll leave it at that. I'm sorry? We had evidence linking him to the commission of this case. Whether we would have indicted it, I'm not sure. Certainly once he accepted responsibility for it, that concluded our investigation. But so we took the win and went with it. Okay, so I think we got to call this because I think the families have travel plans, but if you'd like, we could, offline, I could continue answering questions. Thank you. Sure.
I just want to thank the district.
That wasn't me. So I think
they cut it.
Yep, they cut her. Yep, they cut it all out.
They cut her off.
So, but we got some things to talk about. So, guys, thanks for hanging in there. That was absolutely longer than I thought it was going to be. And the first thing is like, how did they not give that extra mic that they already had to the people asking the questions? I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't hear any of the questions that were being asked, and some of them sounded like Ray Tierney was like kind of like a little pissed off at him, right? He was just kind of like what? So, some interesting tidbits out of this. Gloria Allred talking about the blueprint for murder, right? And then I knew she was going to refer that HK document, right? The hunt or kill document, or however it's being referred to as that one computer program. And even Tierney brought that up a couple of times, so that was interesting. That was going to be a big part of that case. That's all you got, Mike, on his. The whole thing. You 2 hours watching this thing. I get out of it.
I ate in between. When my picture came up, I was stuffing my face.
All right. There was 100,000 images and videos that were in that whole thing, which is absolutely amazing when you think about it. Anita, thank you, and Joe for the gang. You're all amazing. Thank you, Anita, for all your support too. I appreciate that. 100,000 images and videos. I was hoping that somebody was going to ask that question. Like, what you talk about this other evidence? What about all these other videos? I mean, was there something else on there that they could have, gotten other potential victims? I think that that was a lost, couple questions. I was trying to get Josh some questions that I had to see if he can answer because he was in the room. And he wasn't able to. I guess he wasn't able to get in there. But I heard a couple of familiar names in there. Connie Dinkle, who I know, Brad Adams. Mike, we remember Brad Adams from the homicide courses. He was the forensic anthropologist.
Oh yeah, of course, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could tell. I had it full blast. I had my volume booster going, and there was one person that kind of sounded like Josh, but I'm not sure that it was.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I was trying to listen to that too, but I was talking about exactly what Ray Tierney was talking about when he was thanking everybody. That he was perfectly clear. He started off a little shaky, but he kind of got his speech back on track. But that was it. Maureen Brainard-Barnes' mom. Wow, that was powerful stuff. I believe it was.
Was that the mom or the sister?
Missy, I think she was the sister.
Yeah, I think
sister.
But then Karen Vergata's mom was so cute.
Yeah.
I got teary-eyed for a minute. I had to go get tissue.
Well, it was if that was her sister, then it not so I misspoke there. Sorry about that, but that was very powerful. I mean, it's like I got verklempt just listening to her because she was right on the money.
Yeah, that was the best speech all day, I think, the most powerful one. And, it just reinforces to everybody that's why we do what we do. This is why the DA did what they did, for people like that.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was her mom. If I misspoke, I'm sorry if it's the sister. The fact that he had mentioned about the no deal for better prison stuff, right? Remember, we always thought that he was going to maybe try to get something like better butter on bread, right? Is the current running joke because Rex had asked about Jesperson, who was another serial killer that actually encouraged him to plea out. If you remember that was going back a while ago, and then he takes the plea, and so a lot of people were thinking that was something that they were going to bargain with, but apparently not. Dev, thank you very much for gifting those 5 memberships. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I know you guys. We're coming up to 3 hours. This is definitely, if not the longest stream I've ever done. Like I said, I normally don't do these things, but this is actually a historical case. And I lived with this. It happened in my backyard for so many years, so it was tough to avoid going through all this kind of stuff and hanging. And I'm happy, and I'm glad they got the family members to go up there and say we agree with that he took the plea, right? That was important because remember with Koberger, they had some family members that were not happy.
No.
Especially after Koberger, because I think the family, was it Maddie's family who was very upset about the plea deal. They're going to be at CrimeCon this year. They're still going after the state and criticizing the state. So I think it was really important for them to have the families behind them.
And I think, yeah, I agree, Missy. And I think it's a framework that other district attorneys down the road should be using, right? Get the families on board.
Kaylee's family, excuse me.
Anita, thank you very much for that. Super. Love your channel, Joe. Thank you again. No, thank you, Anita, for your support. I really appreciate that. I like your messages you sent me too. So that's always fun hearing from you. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that were going on here. But I didn't hear anything about storage facility. I'm sorry, Missy.
What did you think about the paper towel bit that he dropped?
That was kind of weird. I was wondering, and the same paper towel came back to his house. I'm still trying to figure out how that happened. I mean, bounty paper towels. I mean, I got bounty paper towels in my house too.
Yeah, how are they matching? Yeah, the quicker picker upper.
I don't know. Like I said, that would have been a great follow-up question somebody should ask. Like, how did this whole paper towel thing? Was there DNA on the paper towel? Right? Did he clean something up? And then, did they have that? I don't know, right? That I thought would have been that was a missed opportunity. I'm glad you brought that up, Missy, because as we're doing this, unlike Mike, who's screwing around in the chat room, I'm actually taking notes, trying to figure out what's going to. I was going to put him in timeout, because he was pissing everybody off.
I wasn't pissing anybody off. I'm just making jokes.
Yes, making jokes.
He was having snacks too.
Yes, well, that's okay. I had a snack too.
I heard something else there for a second.
Whoever that Clyde guy was, kudos to him, right? From the DNA guy, and they mentioned another guy. Yeah, I had the Megan Waterman with the bounty towel. That's something that we got to dig into further, Missy. See what else we can find on that.
Okay.
If anything else comes out over the next couple of days. But as we're going to wrap this up, you guys have any final thoughts on today?
I'm glad we stuck around and watched the presser. I think the speeches by the family was very powerful, and I'm sure that's going to be all over the news. I think I want to watch it again. Yep. I just thought it was really good. And again, it just reinforces why this investigation, however long it took, finally has a resolution for the family, and we can see how beautiful the family is that survived, and how important it is.
Missy, I'll get to you, and then I'll get before I get.
I think there's a lot to process still, and things are going to slowly trickle out. And like the paper towel thing for today, like that blew my mind. I haven't heard from Josh yet. He's probably still at the presser trying to get some information. He will be live tomorrow, I think, with Laura Engel, who's also there. And then I really cannot wait for Sunday. It's on your channel.
Yeah, Sunday will be on my channel. So Josh and I are going to be doing this. And I'll see if anybody else can join us. I'll reach out. We count on so many people. I believe it or not, I have such a difficulty asking people to come on again. But I might do something because I just, people's times are so valuable, especially on a Sunday. They want to spend time with their families. But I'll ask and see what happens. Dev, thank you for that. Super says, when there was 100,000 images mentioned? Yeah, in the one of the affidavits that we put out, they had 100,000 images, including video, like 6 or 7 terabytes of information. It was done at a presser too. I remember Ray Tierney talking about that amount of images. I was hoping somebody was asking questions. I had actually sent a message to Josh and saying, ask him about the photos and the videos, if there was anything on there. We didn't hear anything about a storage facility question. There was a couple of questions on there that the attorney did not like, right? So maybe we could have gotten a better question if we would have done that. Say no to globalism. How you doing? 29 months. I think they said they had a matching found paper towel at RH's house. A keepsake. Thanks, Joe and Mike. Missy, hit the like button on the way out. Yes, thank you. Yes, he did say that. I mean, this whole bounty towel thing, I'm just going to go throw it out there. This is going to become a major thing now throughout the internet. People are going to be, searching and looking for answers on like how that was happening, because the case happened in 2006 or something, and now we're talking about it in 2020. And I don't know if Tierney kind of gave us a little hint on something in regards to further investigations. He mentioned 1993 to 2021, which was, and then he says, and then beyond. So I don't know if he was telegraphing a move that there were other cases now that they've been looking at harder, even though he said no. Like, we don't play that game. Like, we don't say, hey, we got a suspect now, let's go do this. I don't know. Let's hope to see what happens.
I think it's interesting though, because if they can broaden the span of his crimes, right now we're looking at 1996 to 2011, so about a 15-year span of activity. I think it's bigger than that. I think it would put him in the top 3 of longest active serial killers if they can prove that he's been active in this 3 decades of time.
That's why it's important. Yeah, that's why it's important that the behavioral analysis gets to talk to him. We want to find out how these people succeed so well. How did they get away with it for so long? So I'm glad he agreed to that. I don't think he had a choice.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Because I did some research earlier, actually yesterday. It would be Samuel Little at 35 years, Dennis Rader at 31 years. So it would put him in that top 3.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think he started a little earlier than Sandra Costilla. I mean, because he would have been in his mid-20s, I think, at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So plenty of opportunity had started earlier, but we'll see. Listen, I have full faith in Ray Tierney. I tell you, if anybody ever questioned the abilities of this man, I said after today, even though he started off his presser a little rough, that's nothing. Look at this case that he put together. And like he said, he runs the show over there, and he said, get me more, get me more, get me more. And I think it just became so overwhelming that they just said, all right, we give up.
Hey, they didn't mention Rodney Harrison at all, right?
No, and
that is weird.
Yeah, they didn't mention him in passing or anything.
That is weird. There's some kind of politics going on over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I had mentioned that in the chat when we were doing this. I was working the chat on the other computer. And I said, I mean, no mention of Rodney Harrison. I mean, how does that not happen? I guess there's some, I don't want to say bad blood because I don't know, but it just, to me, it's to leave him out intentionally. It's kind of like
it reeks of like sour grapes, basically. Somewhere in the chain, there's.
Yeah, and it was weird how he actually took a shot at I guess people before him. I guess whether it was either Tim Sini or I forgot what the female FBI agent's name was that took over Suffolk County, where he said, yeah, we don't like basically calling it going out the Gilgo being a performative step and not actually wanting to actually do anything. I thought that was odd, So, all right, folks, listen, you spent nearly 3 hours with us. Listen, I appreciate that. Friday morning roll call, I have Josh Schiffer. On Sunday, we're going to do Sinister Sarge Sunday on this channel here at True Crime with the Sarge. That's a tongue twister. And then Mike will be back next week to annoy everybody on Friday morning's roll call.
Wait, that's next Friday,
that's not this Friday. That's a week from this Friday coming up.
I mean, I might be in the chat this Friday annoying everybody.
Cool. Yeah, cool. All right, listen. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us all this time. I know you guys' time is valuable too, so I really appreciate that. And for everybody else in the mods, thanks for making this show successful. You guys have a great day. You guys hang out so this thing uploads. Everybody else, we're going to say goodbye. Have a great day, everybody. I'm glad that justice has been served.